Young Noble, happy to have you, my man. I guess we could take it from the top, man. I don't want to waste no time. How was it like growing up in New Jersey?
Well, I grew up in New Jersey, but I was born in California. So I moved to New Jersey when I was probably 8 years old. Some traumatic shit happened for us. So I was born in Los Angeles County in a place called Sierra Madre. I never been there, but my mom, she used to live in Pasadena, and her doctor was in Sierra Madre. So I was born there. She lived in Pasadena, then she moved to Altadena. So I only remember Altadena. And you know, around 8 years old, my brother, I got a big brother and a big sister. They about 8 years older than me. And they twins. My brother was cripping. He was a young cripper, a Altadena block crip. And he wound up getting into some shit with our neighbor that lived right behind us and shit. And he used to run with them. They used to rob houses and shit. He was like an older crip. My brother used to run with him. And I guess they robbed the house or something. And next thing you know, the dude that lived behind us, his crib got robbed. He thought my brother did it. Maybe he did. I don't know. I was a little kid. And he he came to the house looking for my brother, knocked on the door. My mom opened the door, had a gun to her head, you know what I mean? Threatening to kill her. Mind you, he used to come to our house all the time, eat dinner over there. I thought he was like like one of my big brothers or something, but obviously he wasn't. That situation, he came over there, put a gun in my mom's head, held us hostage in there for about an hour. My brother found out about it and went and looking for him. He wound up like shooting at him or shooting him. I don't remember what happened. I was a little kid, but my brother got locked up for it. And he was supposed to do a lot of time as a juvenile, but they wound up working it out for him to move to New Jersey, And so he wound up moving to New Jersey with my grandma Joyce. So he's out there and I'm just like f***ed up. I'm a little kid. My big brother was my superhero. So my mom like, we're gonna move to New Jersey. I'm like, let's go. The day before we about to move to New Jersey, my big sister comes out the house with her boyfriend. He was an older crip. His name was Sean Queenie. Rest in peace, Sean Queenie. My sister was like 14. He was like 19. And my sister was like, I'm going to the store. What you want? I was like, I still remember. I told her I wanted some juice and some chips, and bring me some juice and some chips back. And she never came back. She ran away. So my mom come home. Where your sister at? I'm like, she went to the store. She never came back with my juice and chips. And she the next day we supposed to leave. Can't find my sister. She ran away. And so maybe like we there for a week. My mom, she done got rid of the crib. We had to sleep at her friend's house for about the week. She sold a house, sold a car, just everything. We about to move to New Jersey. So police report out on my sister. They looking for her. She turns up in about a week and tells my mom she's pregnant and she's not leaving California. So it was like that whole little move to Jersey was a little crazy. My brother, big brother had to move out there from all that shit. Then my sister wound up getting pregnant and she never left California, man. So, that's how I got to New Jersey. But it's crazy because she made the decision to run away. And that's how I end up being able to come back to California later on in life. So it was almost, worked out crazy, but it wasn't in nothing in New Jersey for her anyway, because my mom's was on drugs. It wasn't really a good situation out there. She wound up going to school and making something out of her life, So me, when I was young, going through all the shit I went through, when it was time for me to be like, yo, I'm sick of the streets. I'm sick of the streets. I actually had a place to go. And, that's how I ended up back in California. You know what I mean? So we get to New Jersey. We moved to Orange, New Jersey. Orange and East Orange. I remember actually, when we left California, we stopped in Anniston, Alabama. It was a lady who was supposed to be a family member of ours, but she really wasn't a family member. All I remember about Anniston, Alabama is she used to have big jars of pig feet on her porch and pickles. And I remember I used to hate it. Every time I walked up the goddamn steps, seeing all these jars of pickles and shit. And so I wound up. We were supposed to stay there for a year, but it got cut short. So she put me in school. That didn't last too long. I wound up getting into a fight with a. It was an albino. It was my first time seeing an albino person. He was like kid. He was bald. He was a kid. He had a bald head. He was like all white. We wound up getting to a fight, and he started it though. The teacher took him in the back and whooped his ass with a paddle, and took me in the back and whooped my ass with a paddle. And I told my mom. She took me out of school, went up there, cursed everybody the fuck out. They whooped me. I'm like, California, they ain't whooping kids in school and shit. But the lady we was staying with, she was a drunk, and one night she was just talking shit to my mom, and next thing you know, she pulled out a gun and pointed at my mom. I kill your ass, bitch, all this shit to my mom, and we left the next day and moved to New Jersey. Orange, New Jersey. My first school out there was in the back of a projects, Pearl Street projects, and it was like a culture shock to me, moving from, beautiful Altadena, California, to we staying like literally right up the street, Pearl Street projects right there, and I went to that school and shit, you know what I mean? So, Jersey was cool,
And you, Fatal, and Gaddafi grew up together, right?
Yeah, I grew up with Fatal and Gaddafi in Montclair, New Jersey. I knew them individually before they knew each other. So me and Gaddafi, we the same age. I knew him since third grade. Went to Hillside Elementary School, third grade, fourth grade, the whole shit. And I knew Fatal from my neighborhood. I grew up with Fatal. He lived in my neighborhood and shit. I remember the first day I saw Fatal. He was fresh out of juvie, man, fresh out of juvenile hall. I had a big ass afro, little skinny nigga and shit, walking down the Ave, and everybody was just going crazy, like, Bruce, he out and shit, you know what I mean? And so yeah, we grew up together, man, Montclair.
And y'all all used to hustle together, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Used to hustle on New Street. Like I lived on New Street, like right in the center of the block. My house was like a meeting place for, so many kids. Used to be like about 50, 60 kids out there damn near every day, but only like 4 of us actually like lived on the street. So I was definitely, my whole family was real popular in the neighborhood. My big brother was like a real thorough dude out there. He was in and out of jail. I remember Fatal told me a story. He went to jail. He went to prison, and his first day in prison, he like, I don't think this was his first bid. It might have been his second bid or something. But he ran into my brother the first day. He was like, "Yo, I saw your brother, man, the first day." My brother used to always work in the kitchen and different shit like that. And whoever would come to the prisons from Montclair, my brother would always make sure they was good. So many niggas used to come home from jail like, "Yo, as soon as I got in there, I saw your brother." He used to hold everybody down and shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, we used to hustle on the same block. Me and Gaddafi, we used to play football together, in the Cobra League, like around 6th grade. That's when he stayed on the other side of town, like it's called the Hollow. I stayed in the 4th ward. So, when we was young kids, he didn't used to come down the way. He didn't start really coming down the way until we started playing football. He played for the Steelers. I was on the Giants and Steelers was real good that year. They was kicking everybody ass. But that was around the time when Yaki started being out there with us, and we all started hustling young. I sold my first bottles of cocaine. I was 10 years old, man. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah, it's not a good thing, but my mom's was on drugs, man. It was just part of the whole shit, you know what I mean? It's a normal thing in the hood.
Right, right. So how did y'all get into the music? You, Fatal, and Gaddafi.
Um, Fatal was the first one out of us to get into music. He had a group called The Plague, but in our town he was number one. Like the nigga, I remember we used to be in the park playing ball, and the nigga Fatal used to could like freestyle for like 2 hours straight. Like whoever walking in the park, you know what I mean? Nigga might got dusty shoes on, whatever the case may be. Fatal would just talk about everything. He was the first dude I seen who could literally like just freestyle. I mean, like flawlessly, like not even fucking up. You know what I mean? So Fatal was the first one out of us who was spitting, but he inspired definitely me and Gaddafi. I started writing early. I had a little group called the Five Clips. I was like 12 years old, so we used to. We had a DJ called Quimmy Quim. He's still the Outlawz DJ right now. He had equipment in his house. His father used to manage the Lords of the Underground. You heard of Lords of the Underground?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, yeah. So his father used to manage the Lords of the Underground. You know, and Quim had all the equipment, so he was the DJ for the Plague, and that's where all the music started with us. Quimmy Quim, his crib, he had the crib we could actually record music at. I still got a tape right now from, I was 12 years old, recording at Quimmy Quim crib, and that's where they used to record the Plague stuff at. Fatal and the group he had. You know what I mean? Yaki, he wasn't really spitting like that, like around the way, like when we was real young. Maybe a little later, like when he started getting like 15, 16, that's when we knew Yaki could rap too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember E.D.I saying in an interview before that, he taught Gaddafi how to rap. So yeah, that's dope, man. But I want to ask you about Naughty by Nature. You had beef with them back then, right? Back in Jersey.
Well, Naughty by Nature, when they first came out, we all loved them. Let's start there. We all loved Naughty by Nature. They was repping real hard for Jersey. Um, you know, they was from East Orange. I had a whole bunch of family in East Orange and Orange, so we felt like they belonged to us. They was from 20 minutes away where we was from, and they was killing the whole rap game. So they used to come to our town, Montclair, and go shopping at this store called Lewinsky's. Lewinsky sold all the drug dealer specials, all the Flavor Tims, the Dickie suits, the Carhartts, the Pendletons, all the you used to see Tretch and them wearing in the videos, like the Dickie suits with the long johns under them. They used to come shopping up there. So one day, Vin Rock was up there, and Vin Rock actually remembered the story. I called him one time. I was like, "Yo, you remember this happened?" He was like, "Hell yeah!" He told me all the details and shit. But Vin Rock and a couple of his guys was up in Montclair doing some shopping, and two guys from my hood, Al Tariq and Nico Storm, for whatever reason, got into it with him. I think he like dropped he had one of them old phones. They, got the phone or whatever. I don't even know why they was fucking with Vin Rock, because we all love Naughty by Nature. You know what I mean? And got into a little scuffle or whatever, and it led to like a long time of like back and forth of Montclair and they area, East Orange, getting to it. Like they used to send carloads of niggas to our hood on a late night. Like, you get caught slipping, you ain't got nothing to do with it. 3, 4 carloads of niggas was hopping out. Like it was crazy. Like for a couple months, man. This was when they first came out, OPP and shit. You know what I mean?
Damn, so it got serious then.
Yeah, yeah, it got that serious, man. Naughty, they weren't playing no games, and niggas from my hood weren't playing no games either. But yeah, them niggas, they came to the clear, man, and got into it with the homies and shit. Both of the homies passed away, Storm and Al G. But yeah, they got into it with Vin Rock in the hood for nothing, just them being up there. It wasn't about nothing serious, but it turned into some serious shit because Naughty wasn't going for that shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy that they are brothers though. At later years later, you know what I mean? So when Pac, when he cause Fatal and Gaddafi, they told Pac what happened. And E.D.I told me Pac was mad about this shit. He actually like wrote a verse one day, like talking shit to them niggas, like leave Tretch alone, like that's my motherfucking brother and shit. You know what I mean? But Pac wound up talking to Tretch, and once Tretch realized that the whole beef and shit with niggas from Montclair, and he realized, oh, them is Pac niggas now. Like he actually like let his niggas know. He actually called a meeting and shit with Fatal and shit. You know what I mean? They had a meeting like in the hood, and he was letting them know like, y'all rocking with Pac, and that's my brother, and whatever we was going through then, that shit is done. And what I mean? I guess he spread the word out to all his EO niggas, and it been love ever since. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right when they came, ain't that crazy? Yeah, right when they came out, that shit happened, man. You know what I mean? And we all loved them too, man. We was a little irritated at the homies for, for even doing that. Like, we had love for them. But it's crazy because Yaki Gaddafi was actually there when that shit happened with Vin Rock.
Oh, for real? He
He
was
was,
there too?
yeah, yep, he was there with them. Yep, it was them and a few other homies. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And speaking of Pac, if I'm not mistaken, the first concert you ever been to was a Digital Underground concert, right?
Yes, it was at North Symphony Hall. I had went with Quimmy Quim and his father Hafiz, and it was Digital Underground, Third Base, Big Daddy Kane, um, Chill Rob G, Queen Latifah. I didn't even know, Pac wasn't Pac then, but he was absolutely on stage dancing. You know what I mean? But a big fight had broke out, like a brawl. Two crews from somewhere, they had got into it, and after a couple of the artists performed, they had shut the shit down. But I was thinking about Shock G one day, and I had called Money B, like, Money B, do you remember this concert? And he remembered it like it was yesterday. He was like, "Yeah, I remember that shit." You know what I mean? Somebody had got stabbed up in there. It was like it was crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was up in there with Hafiz and Quim, and yeah, man, Pac was on stage dancing with Naughty by Nature at the time. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, that's a crazy story. So take me through that, man. How did you meet Tupac? How did you and him connect for the first time?
Um, how did it come about? Well, I had moved back to California, getting into a whole lot of trouble. Um, I was making a lot of money at the time. I was actually living with an older woman right in my hood. She was like a young Mary J. Blige. I was 16, she was 24. Like I was young, but I was, hair on my face. I was like a whole adult, you know what I mean? And she had two kids and I'm holding her down and shit. And, I just got tired of Jersey, man. I saw my future one day. I was just, my mom being on drugs my whole youth, and my big brother, he started being on drugs and shit. And, I think what really made me want to leave was when Nico Storm and Al G died. The same two guys, that got into it with Vin Rock. You know, um, that was my first. They died back to back. This was like '95. They died like a couple weeks apart. Storm, he was on the street. I guess he was robbing some dudes in one of the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, whatever happened, and he wound up getting killed. And our homie Al G, he stayed like 3 doors down from me. Al Tariq Bussy, him and Fader was like best friends, man. Al G was like a real gangster, man. He cool as shit, funny as shit. And he wound up kind of going crazy when Storm died. He was one of his best friends, and us young black men um, it's hard to deal with trauma. We don't know how to deal with it sometimes. And right after Storm had died, he wound up breaking into the funeral home, and they caught him in there. He was just in there with the shit, with Storm. You know what I mean? I guess he was in there drinking, getting high or whatever. He wanted to see his bro one more time. You know what I mean? But shortly after that, he was with the other homies, and they wound up getting pulled over by the police, and he hopped out and made them kill him. You know what I mean? And the devastation of that, it kind of like made my hood go crazy. Everybody turning against each other, and it was like niggas fighting every day. It just was like I just didn't. It was a horrible time. And I just wanted something better. Just tired of just doing the same shit. I'm like 16. I'm like, it gotta be something better for me in life than this shit. I just want to be a kid. I wasn't in school. Like I said, I'm, living with this chick, and I just wanted something better for myself, man. And called my sister and said, I'm tired of this shit. I was in and out the youth house, and it was just real street shit, just every fucking day. And I just saw a vision. I'm like, if I stay out here, my life, like, is this all life about? And called my sister, and she was like, yeah, come on. I bought my ticket. So my girl, she was like begging me not to go and shit. I was like, something in my spirit is just telling me to go, you know? So I left. And a couple months later, I was rapping with Tupac, you know. Mind you, when I moved to California, I was just writing every day. You know, I knew how to rap. We used to freestyle, you know, every fucking day. That's just what we did in the hood. It was just normal, you know. So when I got to California, I didn't have too many friends, obviously. I liked it like that. You know, knew some girls, met this dude that lived across the street. He was a blood nigga. The whole apartment was Crips. He was the only blood nigga over there. We went to the same school and shit. But his name was Daryl. He locked up right now doing life. But D was cool as shit. You know, I moved to Rancho Cucamonga. That's where my sister lived at. And so I'm writing every day for whatever reason, just to like clear my mind. You know, like in the morning, going to school. I went to start going to continuation school. I used to be writing, like waiting on the bus, smoking a beanie, writing a rap. So for some reason, I was just writing. And one day I came home from school, and my sister said, two of my friends from New Jersey is in California, and they called me, and they told her to tell me to call them as soon as I got home from school. She was like, yeah, it's somebody named Fatal. They said they out here with Tupac and this and that, and I called them, and them niggas, they was out there. They're like, yo, where you at? I'm like, yo, I'm out here with my sister. Da, 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 da. I gave them the address. They said, nigga, we on our way. Them niggas was on their way immediately to come get me. You know, my sister, she kind of put a pause on it. And I get off the phone with them, and she like asking me about them, like who are they, where they from? You know, I'm like, they from my neighborhood, this and that. And she was kind of worried about um me going to see Tupac, because you know he had just got out of jail. You know, mind you, I didn't even know he was out of jail. He had just got out of jail from you know, he had just got shot, and you know he was in there for the rape shit, you know, that he was falsely accused of and all that. And mind you, all the headlines. So my sister was like, you know, you sure you want to, you know, you out here, you done with all that trouble shit. Like, you sure you want to go be around like somebody like Tupac? And I'm like, you know what, you right. You know, like these are my niggas. I grew up with them. Like these is my dogs. But, you know, so they got there, and you know, I talked with them. They pulled up in a limo about 45 minutes later. And I ain't just hop in a limo. I talked to these niggas for about 30 minutes, just like picking their brain, like, you know, seeing what the going on. It's just like some out the blue shit. Like I ain't talked to these niggas since I left New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? So I'm out here, I'm like in school, I'm living a good, peaceful life, playing basketball every day. I'm like enjoying just being a kid, not walking out my house. Like I stay in the middle of the block on New Street. I walk out my house every day. It's 20 niggas outside, you know? So I was like really enjoying that peace of just being a kid. Like I was like 17 years old, and it was, you know, it was a good thing for me. So my sister, she put me on hold, like, yo, you know, find out what's going on first. So I talked to my guys, and you know, they told me a little bit what's going on, but then was my nigga, so I was going with them, you know. Hopped in a limo, and we went out there and met Pac and shit, you know what I mean?
Pac got mad when they brought you to his house, right?
He wasn't necessarily mad that he brought me there. He was more mad that, excuse me, they stole his limo, you know? So Rancho Cucamonga is probably 45 minutes from Los Angeles. So I guess he was doing an interview or something in his condo. He had a condo on Wilshire. I think it was called the Wilshire House. And once they talked to me, I guess they was like, "F whatever Pac doing, we going to get no." You know, like these are my niggas. Like we been through a lot together. They yeah, so we pull up to the crib, and first thing I see when we get out is Pac's sister. She's getting out of the car as well. I guess she had just got there because he was fresh in California, fresh out of jail. He might have been there like 2 weeks or something. So Fatal and Gaddafi was the first two outlaws he got out there. So I meet his sister when we pull up, Setua. She's pregnant with E.D.'s baby, Malik. And we go upstairs, Set going first, he give her a hug, and we walk through the door. And he looks at me, and they introduce like, yo, this my nigga Nob from the hood, you know what I mean? We grew up with him. And he like, yo, nice to meet you, Nob, and he immediately put his attention on these niggas. And he start barking on them, like, yo, what the like, he had a right to. Like he was busy doing some shit, and these niggas fresh in California, and they steal his limo. He like, yo, what y'all niggas been going for 2 hours. They had no cell phones and no shit like that. So, he was really more mad about that. Then they walk in the house with somebody he don't know. And yeah, so it was a mixture of it. You know what I mean? So he's barking on them niggas about the whole shit. And like even in the middle of that, I'm like, and my first thing I'm thinking in my head is, I should have listened to my fucking sister. Like, like what you niggas done got me into. You know what I mean? Like I'm minding my business. But yeah, he was just barking on them niggas, man. He was upset that they actually stole the limo, but it ain't last long. When I told him, I'm like, yo, no disrespect, Pac. I know you fresh out. I totally understand. I don't let motherfuckers, just strangers coming to your crib. That's just not what it is. You know what I mean? But, you know, yeah, he was like, nah, it's all good. He passed me the blunt and everything and shit, and he walked away. Yaki was like, man, what he talking about? And immediately after that though, he knew who I was, like just from the conversation, me, Gaddafi and Fatal, like, mind you, they just left the hood. Like they just seen my mother a couple days ago before they got on the plane. Like they used to hustle. My mom stayed on 146 Bloomfield Avenue upstairs from the Chinese store, so everybody hustled in front of the Chinese store. Like my mom, all the fiends, they were kind of might be 20 niggas out there selling. And they know my mom, know everybody. My mom was like the mother for everybody. Fatal Gaddafi, she was like the mother for everybody. You know what I mean? So, they used to be all the fiends would come up to my mom and try to get her to go downstairs and do what they do. My mom was a hustler. She used to get money from them and go downstairs to the brothers, all my guys, and get deals from them and all that shit. So, just from Pop sitting with me and Gaddafi and we laughing and how we communicate with each other, he knew immediately that, I wasn't just some nigga in California, that I actually like grew up with these niggas. Like, these niggas coming telling me, yo, I'm in Cali, they seeing my mom every day and shit, my brother coming around and, so, he knew who I was, that night, that I wasn't just a stranger and shit. So it wasn't really about me. It was more so about them niggas still in the limo. But yeah, you don't just bring no motherfucking strangers to your crib. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was definitely out of pocket. So take me through that. Like, how was that like? You coming from Jersey to LA and living that lifestyle?
Um, it was amazing, man. It was amazing. It was a little hectic. I remember like going out with Pac and I remember thinking that fame is some different just like us going to the mall, right? And we walk into the mall, we about to go get some sneakers or something, and we walk into the mall and people start charging at us and shit. It's like you don't know if you want to punch somebody in the face or, you know, like I'm talking about, yeah, like you just imagine, you walk into the mall and just all these people start just running at you and shit. I'm talking about like grown ass men and, it was like, being around him and that superstardom, you see how people react to it. And it's like I'm sitting back just watching like, that fame is something different. It makes that TV screen and that music and being on the radio, it makes people um, react to you as a human being like different. Just depends on how they perceive you. I just remember me being a 17-year-old saying, this fame is a weird thing where we just going outside and all these people just start fucking rushing at you and shit, you know? It's a little crazy.
Yeah, I heard Pac used to move around LA with no security.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, a lot of times it used to just be him and us, A lot of times, for sure. I mean, Pac was a soldier, man, and he was a man of the people, and he wasn't scared of the people, and he wasn't in fear of um just the people. He was a people person. He loved his fans and he loved the streets and the strugglers and that's how he moved. But he definitely used to have security sometimes for sure. He absolutely needed it. But, a lot of times it would just be him and us, you know what I mean? just going wherever it needed to be going. Yeah, he was a mega star, man. He wasn't just like a regular nigga with a platinum album. He was like a mega star, but Pac he was a real human being. Besides like, the mega stardom where here it is 28 years later, like Pac passed away when I was 18 years old. Like I'm 46 years old, man, and you know what I'm saying? He passed. I gotta, yeah, yeah, man. He he was a real person and real, he had a real heart and a real soul, and he really loved people, man. And he was fearless, man. He was fearless as well. So he wasn't about to be a prisoner to his fame, although sometimes he absolutely felt like that. But yeah, he gonna go outside. We're gonna go to some restaurants. We're gonna ride down goddamn Sunset. He loved riding down Sunset with the top back, you know what I mean? Letting the wind breeze. Yeah, no security, just us and him. Like, yeah, he wasn't scared of living, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he ain't let the fame stop him. So when did you become an official outlaw? When did Pac make it official?
Um, it kind of happened like on accident, 'cause I was there. Um, I had my outlaw tattoo, and I lived in his crib before he heard me rap. Like I used to go there on the weekends. I was still in school. I was 17. I ain't had no vehicle, so my sister was working all the time. I'll be watching my niece, so I go there on the weekends. And one weekend, this might have been like February, something like that. Um, he didn't want me to go. He like, dog, like enough's enough. Like you supposed to live here with us. And he asked me to drop out of school, and he said, don't worry about nothing. We're gonna figure out something for you to do. My first job was gonna be to design the Outlaw clothing line. He saw I was like real creative with drawing and shit. We used to spray paint back in Jersey and shit. So like them shirts that we had on a House of Blues, it had that big Outlaw on it. So like I designed that. I drew it out. Pac's sister actually helped me take it from a drawing to put on the shirt. You know what I mean? And so that was the first thing I was gonna be the design the clothes, but he was just like, I was his little brother, man. He like, yo, enough's enough. So I'm living in the crib, and one day I went to go visit my sister. I was like, I need to go see my sister. And I went back, I had all these clothes there. And lo and behold, I see this notebook, and the notebook is full of raps. So, I'm out there on soldier mode, support my brothers Gaddafi and Fatal, wanting to see their dreams come to life. Me joining the group never even crossed my mind. I'm like, I'm here for whatever my brothers need me to be here for. I was just there to play my position. You know what I'm saying? And I found my notebook, and I started flipping through it. I opened it up, and the notebook was full of raps. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna take this back to Pot crib with me. Took that back, grabbed some of the clothes I had there and shit. And, E.D.I was the first one that I start kicking my raps to. I'm good at cutting hair, so I used to cut everybody hair and shit. That was a good bonding tool too. Like when I first met everybody, like when I came back, Fatal like, you still cut hair? Bring your clippers. I learned how to cut hair when I was like 12 years old. I used to cut my whole neighborhood, from the little kids to the grown niggas from jail, right in front of my mama crib. Summertime, 30 niggas out there. I'm, cutting everybody shit. We niggas hustling, getting to it. But that was a great bonding tool too, man. Me cutting everybody hair. Pac never got time alone. Like it was so many days me and him was in this bathroom and I'm cutting his hair, and we got to talk about a whole lot of shit. Like me thinking about it now, it was a great bonding tool for me with all of the guys personally, just having conversations one on one during that time. But I'm cutting Edie hair one night, and I'm like, let me kick something for you. Kick the shit for him. He tell all the guys, yo, no dope, man, no dope. Da, 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 da. So a week or two after that, we had to go to the studio to pick up a DAT for Pop. Me and Edie was the only niggas with driver's license. I was 17 with a driver's license. E.D. had his license. Fatal, Castro, none of them niggas had driver's license. So, you know, I used to drive or E.D. would drive. Wherever Outlaws, would move. So me, Castro, and Fatal, we went to the studio to pick up something for Pop, Can-Am Studio. And the engineer was in there. Nobody wasn't doing nothing. They like bring up a beat. Castro and E.D. was gonna do a song, or Castro and Fatal, they wanted to do a song. They're like, yo, no, hop on the song. So I hop on the song and they bring the tape back, play it for Pac. They're like, yo, that's Nobe on there. Listen to Nobe. Pac heard it like, oh shit, nigga, you sound pretty good. That was that. It wasn't no, it wasn't no big deal. I say maybe like 2 weeks later, we we at his Malibu crib, The shit felt like a movie, bro. Like Sally Richardson was there, in his Malibu house, right? And yeah, I always loved her from TV. I think I was in love with her, man. I always loved Sally Richardson. Man, she was in the crib, right? So mind you, his crib was on Malibu. Open up the back, the water's right there. So she's in and out she knew what she was doing. She's in and out the water and coming in the house with a bathing suit on. I'm like, this shit is like a movie, man. I'm in here with Pac and Sally Richardson. I'm like, this is a movie right here. Mind you, every time she'd walk by, we talking shit to Pac like, come on, she love young niggas. We trying to, trying to convince him to, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man, ain't no, you know what I mean? But yeah, he was like, yo, y'all little niggas crazy, man. But yeah, Sally Richardson was there, man, and that shit seemed like a movie. And Pac was like, he asked me this day, like, yo, let me hear some more raps and shit. And I'm like, all right, I just so happened to have my notebook in the car, and I went out and got my notebook, and I kicked maybe like 5 or 6 raps for him, and he went crazy, man. He went crazy. He was actually like, the initial response was a little different to me because he was like excited, and then he kind of like got a little mad at me that I been living in his house, and I was there when he was recording All Eyes on Me and all this stuff, and I never rap for him. So you gotta understand, anybody who meet Tupac that know how to rap, the first thing they want to fucking do is rap for him right on the spot, And he was like, yo, you could rap, you know how to rap this good the whole time, and you ain't say nothing. It was like, I was just so humble. I wasn't there to be a rapper. I was there to support my brothers Gaddafi and Fatal. I wasn't trying to impose on what they was doing, in no shape, form, or fashion. Like, there's so many pictures I see these days where I would move out the way. Like, I'm not in the rap group. I'm in the Outlawz. I got my tattoo. Tupac paid for my tattoo. I'm the last one he took and got this tattoo. This before he even heard me rap. You know what I mean? And I wasn't trying to impose on what my guys was doing. I was there just trying to play my position however I could help. But he heard me rap and he was like, uh, he said, everybody who think Nobe should be in the group, raise your hand. And he raised his hand first, and everybody raised their hand. I'm like, okay. So I remember what he told me. He said, I saw the excitement. I think his level of respect like went out the roof for me that, I've been around all this months and I'm living in his house, and I never like tried to like force any music on him. I didn't
Yeah,
really
you wasn't thirsty or anything.
I didn't even think I was really that good. I just found my notebook, it was just practice for us. You know what I mean? It was just I wasn't trying to be a rapper. It was not even practice. It was just fun. It was just something to do. I grew up with hip hop. Hip hop just turned 50. I'm 46. Like I breathed this shit, you know what I mean? But I remember what he told me. He was like, you're the youngest member, you're the seventh member. It's like you're the last outlaw. He starts telling me how powerful the number 7 is. I didn't never hear about how powerful the number 7 is. It's something he was expressing to me like, yo, you the 7th member of the group. You know how powerful the number 7 is? He was like, I want you to write more than everybody. He was like, I want you to be better than everybody. Now, all the guys is right here. I'm like, I just kicked a few raps for him. He already like, he decided he was just gonna push me to the front of the group for whatever he saw in me. And that's what he did. He started putting me on songs immediately. Like my Hail Mary rap was in the book, you know? I wrote that at my sister house. You know what I mean?
How did Hail Mary come about?
That was started working on the album Machiavelli, and we went to the studio one day, and Tyrone Heard Him Bad was in there, and he had that beat on. And I remember Pac playing the beat, and I didn't like it. Like I didn't think like, oh, I'm about to rap on this song. You know, the beat was too slow. I was a young East Coast dude. I like that knock. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, that East Coast knock, or, you know, just a dope beat. I did not like the Hail Mary beat at all. It was just too slow. It felt like church. And I just was like, I don't know where he's gonna go with this song. And as soon as we got in there, he was like, well, he gonna get on this. And he told me to he like, yo, I want you to write a verse to this. I told the nigga I didn't even want to rap on Hail Mary. Ain't that some shit? I'm like, yo, I hop on the next joint. I hop on the next joint. This joint too slow, man. He said, I need to hear your voice on this. And I'm like, all right, cool. I opened my book up, read a few pages, and I found peep the whole scene and whatever's going on around me. You know what I mean? I kicked the phone. He said, yeah, that's dope. That's dope. We're gonna use that. And then he said, write a hook. I never wrote a hook before. I'm like, you want me to write a hook? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't even want to really rap on this song. It's feel like church to me. I don't know, where you going with this. But he told me to write a hook. I said, all right, cool. Mind you, I ain't hear nothing he did. He's just still writing. I come back, I wrote one real quick. If it's on, then it's on. We rate beat breaks, outlaws on a paper chase. Can you relate? You know the shit. And I kicked the phone and he was like, oh yeah, that's dope, that's dope. We're gonna say that for the end. We're gonna put that after your verse. And he goes in the studio and, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Hail Mary. And Castro laid his verse, and then I laid my verse, and then I laid the hook, and then Gaddafi laid vocals over the hook as well, And we finished the song. And I still didn't like it, I didn't like Hail Mary until till I heard the mixed version. I didn't like Hail Mary till I heard the mixed version. And I was like, oh, this is kind of banging. But I honestly, I thought it was gonna be like, I didn't think it was really gonna make the album, to be honest with you. I didn't think Hail Mary was gonna make the album. It just didn't, I didn't hear it, I didn't hear it. Like, everybody, it's a national anthem all across the world now. But in real time, it just felt slow. It didn't. I don't know. I thought it was. Once I heard the mixed version, I was like, it's definitely banging more. The beat was dropped out. We was mixed. Our vocals sounded good, but I think after I heard it a few times, I start thinking, all right, this is a pretty cool record. But it didn't really hit, until like it came out and everybody you couldn't you couldn't go outside without hearing it being played in the car, and it came out after he died, so it was like it was so bittersweet for me hearing myself on the radio for the first time and Tupac was dead, it was horrible, honestly.
Speaking of Hail Mary, right? Why wasn't you and the Outlaws in the Hail Mary video?
Um we didn't this was after Pac died, and we wasn't in California, and they just didn't reach out to us about it. I was like, I seen the video on TV. It came on, and we was somewhere, and somebody called me, and they're like, "Yo, the fucking Hail Mary videos on TV," and I see the video, and I see actors in there, sitting on the couch and playing video games, whatever the fuck they was doing, but I was kind of crushed, to be honest with you. I was kind of crushed. My first single, my first song that I'm on, that I'm hearing myself on the radio, and Pac is he had just died on us, man, and hearing myself on the radio, and I couldn't be happy at all about it. It was like almost to be like hearing it and be like turn the radio off, but it was no escaping it. The song was just being played every car that passed. You was hearing Hail Mary. You know what I mean? So for Pac to die, and they shoot the video for it, and we don't even get a phone call. It was kind of like damn. Where's the love? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, like that whole thing with us, like Pac died September 13th, um, 1996. Machiavelli album dropped November 5th, 1996, and Gaddafi gets killed November 10th, 1996. So, I mean, it was like the album come out, I couldn't feel happy about it because Pac was gone, and then Gaddafi dies 5 days after the goddamn album come out. So, 96, like my introduction year was crazy, so Gaddafi died, then Fatal like rapping, I'm done with this shit. The day Gaddafi died, Fatal left the group. These are niggas I grew up with, you know what I mean? Fatal, he called the house, um, he was like, fuck all this shit. I'm not rapping no more, period. Niggas is dead. Fuck that group shit. No, I love you, da da da. But, it was a crazy time, Like even with Gaddafi passing, like I'm the one who had to, got the phone call. Mind you, I was just in New Jersey with them. Pac's memorial was in Atlanta on November 10th. So I was just in New Jersey. Fatal and Gaddafi, I just remember the conversation. Both of them was just like they didn't want to come to Atlanta, and Afeni was, she wanted us to be there to rep for Pac on November 10th for his memorial. She begged us, like, I know y'all don't feel like performing, I know y'all still grieving and hurting, but she begged us, please come perform at this memorial. And me and Napoleon was in Jersey as well. We both was like, all right, we all gonna do it. I just remember the conversations with me and Fatal and Gaddafi, and they was like, "F that shit." They didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? But they promised me that they was going. I left before they did, and they promised me they was gonna get on the plane and come out there and do this performance with us. And they missed their flights on purpose. It was Fatal, Gaddafi. Us growing up, Gaddafi kind of followed Fatal. He looked up to him like um, a lot. And he kind of followed him. And Fatal he was the main one really like that shit. And Gaddafi was right there with him like, we don't want to do that shit. And they didn't catch their flight. So the day before the memorial, I had talked to Yaki, my last time talking to him, and it wasn't a good conversation. I kind of cursed him out. I was a little disappointed. He called the house and he was like, "Yo, we missed the flight. Um, like, yo, y'all could catch the next one, catch the morning one. Jersey and Atlanta, that's a 2-hour flight." Coming up with all these excuses, I was just disappointed. Like, Pac, he loved y'all, man. He did try to do everything he can. It's the least we could fucking do is perform at his memorial for his mom. And them niggas missed the flight on purpose, man. And I cussed my nigga Yaki out, told him I loved him though. It was what it was. And me, E.D.I, Castro, and Napoleon, we try to figure out what songs we gonna do. It's like, yo, they're not coming, man. We was all disappointed. Them niggas ain't make the flight. And that night, I was asleep on the floor at Afeni's house. Me, Napoleon was asleep. His brother Camille was asleep. And we got the call. And Big G, Edie's uncle, he woke me up and he said, "Noble, somebody on the phone. They want to speak to you. They said it's urgent." It was my homegirl Taliba from Jers, and she said Yaki's on the floor. She was at his girlfriend house. Her and Yaki girlfriend was, like best friends and shit. And she said, "Yeah, he got shot. He's right. On the floor right now in the hallway, with a hole in his face. You know what I'm saying?" And yeah, it was unbelievable. And I'm like, you know, I woke the whole house up. Like, what the like, trying to process this. What the happened? Who did it? She threw out a name. Like, who the is that? She said, it's Muta cousin. Mind you, Muta standing right here. When I said the name, his face kind of like, so it was like, I was, I, my brother Gaddafi was laying, but I'm telling him this. It was like the whirlwind of emotions was like, it's undescribable, to ask you who just shot him. And then she say, a name, and this, my brother's right here is his fucking cousin, I felt for Moose so bad when that happened. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. And Yaki died, and we had to still perform that next morning for Pac's memorial for Afeni. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. We had to still perform. Um, we absolutely didn't want to. We even let the crowd know, like, sorry y'all, but we're gonna do this for Auntie, but we just lost one of our group members a couple hours ago. But I wasn't like excited enough. And Pac was dead. We didn't know what we was gonna do next. We didn't know what how none of this shit was gonna unfold. And then the next morning, after Gaddafi, he got killed and all this shit, you know, um, then that's when Fatal called. He was like, yeah, the group. He was like, I'm not even rapping no more. Niggas is dead. I'm about to be in the streets, going doing whatever. And he wanted to speak to Napoleon, and they get on the phone, and it was an instant, like, Fatal, like, I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna kill a nigga, and you know what I mean. And yeah, I mean, it was serious, you know what I mean. And him and Napoleon got into it, and it was like, Fatal, my nigga. I grew up with him, you know what I mean. And like Napoleon, he was asleep on the floor when this happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a fucked up situation, man. Fucked up situation. Yeah, man. It was horrible, man.
Yeah, I know that had to be rough. I had no idea you was going through all that, man. And I know when Tupac died, he was beefing with a lot of people, which led
What's
to
it?
y'all getting blackballed.
That's a fact. That's 100% fact. He went at everybody, 100%. He went at Dre. Him and Snoop had just had their little issue right before he passed, and Puff and Big, and everybody, and you got to understand, everybody got tentacles who people they rock with. Where if you dissing Puffy, it's a bunch of people he done paid and know, and producers and rappers, and that'll say, oh, now we not even gonna stand next to y'all motherfuckers, because it might ruin our relationship with this guy. So we didn't have nobody to call after Pac passed away. We had to learn this shit on our own. You know what I mean? And we did a damn good job. We coming up on 30 years soon of being in this shit. We done been on over 75 million records. Um, Never been signed to a major label. Been dropping independent the whole time. So many doors slammed in our fucking face. Group members dying, group members, you know, going their own way. So me and E.D.I, we've been carrying the torch. Me personally, I always remember that conversation when Pac put me into this group. He saw something in me. You know, he actually told me in front of everybody, I want you to be better than everybody, work harder than everybody, write more than everybody. My catalog is vicious. It ain't too many rappers in the world that could with Young Noble. That's on everything. What the charts say, was popular on TikTok, whatever new silly dance these motherfuckers be following. Like, I make music from a real fucking place, man. I got real fans that really been rocking with me for, since the 90s, man. The first song they ever heard me on was Bomb First, you know? I came in this like, you know, I said I'm the youngin' with the nine ready to put in my time. It wasn't just a rap, motherfucker. Yeah, nigga was young, holding it down, ready to, you know, push it forward. Not like wanting to get in the rap to be at war though. You know, like I grew up when rap was, it was fun and everybody getting along. Like, my entrance to this game was way different than Tupac's. He got to experience um touring with Digital Underground. They making fun music. He's getting to meet people, and it's no cloud over him in his early days entering the game. He got to learn the business with Humpty, with Shock G, rest in peace, and Money B was going. He got to, figure his way out with the movie and be on singles and same song and different things like that. I came in the game with Tupac, and it was wartime, and I was right next to him, you know, on some war not like this is what I want, but these is my niggas. Like I became Pac little brother like immediately. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So it was our experiences is different. He I learned work ethic from him in the studio, not fucking around and playing no games, doing what you need to do no matter what's going on. You tune that shit out. Be a studio full of bitches. Guess what? Nigga, write your rap and go in there. Studio time costs. Nigga, every goddamn hour. Don't be in here playing no games. So the Outlaws, like I said, my experience in this game from Tupac, is different. He passed away before, I could even do a music video with the nigga. You know what I'm saying? We just was recording all this time, and then he left us. So our hard work and figuring this shit out started after he passed away. We had to like learn it and figure it out and learn how to create great songs on our own. Because when he was here, it was easy for everybody, to be honest with you. He go in the studio, this nigga hear a beat, he like it, he got the concept already. No, write 8 bars. E.D.I, write 8 bars. Fatal, write 8 bars. That's easy, you know? So to be able to make good music on your own, we had to learn that after he passed away, how to construct songs and be a group together. And, I mean, not be a group together, it was already a group, but without him, like, directing every single song. But that's what it was when he was alive. So even like Hail Mary, when he asked me to write that hook, I was a little like thrown off because I never seen him asking none of the Outlaws to write a hook before. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you want me to write a hook? All right, I'm gonna try. If it's on, then it's on. But it is what it is, man. I'm still here, blessed and breathing, and it is what it is. And let me be clear, right? So Pac, I think, ain't no, I think, I know. He saw his power. He saw how the media was spinning this thing and they was putting everybody on covers and, people picking sides. And that's when he decided he wanted to do the One Nation album. He wanted to do the One Nation album because, he it was this thing created that he didn't like. He didn't like all this negative shit. It's not, I think he had to get that out and then he wanted to bring unity, you know. He flew the boot camp out like we would discuss it. Who should we bring out? We throwing out everybody we love. Get the boot camp click. We love. You right. Let's get them. Boom. Smith and Wesson. He got Greg Nice and did Smooth B didn't no Smooth B didn't come out there. Greg Nice, but he was just getting started with the One Nation album before he passed, and he planned on putting so many different rappers on it, man, from Scarface to Bone Thugs and Harmony to the Loonies and E40, of course Snoop and the Dog Pound. He saw that he saw the effects of what all that dissing, was doing, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, that One Nation album, man, would have been incredible. I like the idea Pac had behind that. But why wasn't Fatal on Still I Rise?
Um,
If you don't mind me asking.
I don't mind, man. It's truth season, man. I'm popping out. We're gonna talk about some things. So, um, around this time we was rocking with rap a lot, and Fatal, his manager, he heard we was out there. He had just got dropped from Relativity, and he was going through a lot of different things. He just got out of jail and all that stuff, and we Lil J, we in down at Rap a lot at this time. You know, Yuck Mouth had us come out there to shoot to be in a Still Ballin' video. Shout out to Yuck Mouth. And Lil J, he fell in love with us, man. He said, yo, I guess he spread the word like the Outlawz is coming, and all his artists was like, we need the Outlawz on the song. You know what I mean? Cash Money, they even drove up to come see us and shit from New Orleans. You know, this was when they first, was rocking out. So Fatal, his manager was calling up to Rap a lot, damn near every other day, like, it's another outlaw y'all should have out there. Mind you, we not even signed to Lil J. We was just like, he had us out there for like 2 months, gave us all this money. We signing, writing all these rhymes for his artists and doing all these features and shit. Like this was a beautiful thing. Like we needed to be out there at that exact time. And it was a great learning experience for us being out there with Lil J for them 2 months, man. He took great care of us. But Fatal, his manager kept calling. I remember Lil J came in the studio one day and was like, yo, so Fatal manager keep calling the office, and he was asking us about Fatal, and I spoke up for Fatal and let him know, what happened about him being in the group and departing. But I'm like, that's our brother for life, no matter what. And as far as the rapper is concerned, he's one of the fucking best, you know what I mean? And a week or two after that, we was on our way to Galveston with the Ghetto Boys. They had a concert in Galveston, and Lil J said me pull over at a hotel, and Fatal comes out the hotel, man, and it was like a surprise reunion, and it was really dope, from because we haven't seen Fatal in a while, and yeah, Lil J, and he had Fatal come out there and had like a whole little surprise outlaw shit. We went to the goddamn concert, and it was like we was all back brothers. Napoleon and Fatal, they got to see each other, and niggas was like back brothers again. You know what I mean? And Lil J ended up signing Fatal, but we didn't. We was still on death row at the time. We get a call from Afeni while we were in. To get back to what you were saying, we get a call from Afeni when we were in Houston, and she's saying that she want to do this project. They got all these Tupac and the Outlaw songs, and she's saying, I want y'all to do an album. We sitting on death row at this time. Sugar's locked up. We don't know what's gonna happen, Um, they start putting Still I Rise in motion, and we have a meeting about the way that the songs we gonna use and this and that. And one of the ladies that worked for her company informed us that Fatal was gonna come off the songs that he was on. It was like they're gonna pay him, his publishing and all of that, whatever they was gonna pay him, but they saying he got to come off Still I Rise, And mind you, we haven't recorded no songs at this time. He ended up I think it was probably 3 songs on Still I Rise album that he was on that's on the album that his vocals got taken off and got replaced by one of us. So when they told us that, we sitting here like, nah, leave Fatal on the motherfucking album. What you mean he coming off? We was just in Houston with Fatal. Like everything is good with us and Fatal. Leave him on the album. We like trying to fight for them, and lady basically let us know like Afeni, she was mad at Fatal, cause when Pop right before Pac passed, we was in New York, at the MTV Awards, he start handing out his jewelry to us. He let Fatal, he didn't give it to him. He let him wear uh, the Rolex and his death row piece. You know, Pac had on his uh his euthanasia joint, and he let Fatal wear it. Mind you, um, Pac, he didn't see Fatal for about 2 or 3 months. Like his last 2 or 3 months of Pac life, Fatal was in New Jersey. He had wound up crashing Pac Land Cruiser one fucking night. He shouldn't even been driving. You know, we at the Oakwood Apartments. He went to go get some liquor, and he come back and crashed in the parking lot at the hotel and hit the pole, the pole in the garage, man. The pole. He hit the fucking pole and smashed the whole. I mean, he fucked the damn Land Rover up, and he he left that morning. He called Gaddafi mom and said, "Get me a flight." He didn't even want to deal with whatever Pac was gonna say. And Pac woke up and he was just pissed. Like you crashed my truck and then you leave before I even wake up. So you know he was pissed about that. But fast forwarding, we see Fatal in New York, and you know what I mean. He know we coming out there. We on our way. Gather the soldiers and, you know, come to the hotel. And Pac was happy to see his brother Fatal. And he said, you know, tonight, nigga, shine with this, you know what I mean? Put this shit on, you know, put the Rolex on him and the death row chain. And that night, you know, we had a little meeting after the you know, after everything, and he told Fatal to send the homies home, all our Jersey brothers. And we went downstairs. I remember we was downstairs for 20, 30 minutes, and Fatal hopped in the van and left with the homies. Mind you, the niggas is drunk, high and shit. I don't even think he even like even probably even remember Pac said, "Yo, send them and you know stay," or you know I don't know, but he left. He had no cell phone and no shit like that back then, and Pac was pissed, man. He was pissed, and he wound up getting shot. You know, we go back to Cali, and you know we didn't see Fatal for the next day that we was in New York, so he still had the chain and the Rolex, and Pac ended up getting shot and killed. You know, 2 3 days after we get back, and I guess Afeni was upset that he didn't return it to her. You know. So when Still I Rise, mind you, I don't think none of us ever even talked about this. We get blamed for the last 20 something years that Fatal ain't on Still I Rise. We tried to get them to keep Fatal on Still I Rise. Afeni said no. She was pissed that he didn't return the death row chain and the Rolex, you know. So that's why he wasn't on Still I Rise. He got paid for the 3 songs or whatever that they took him off, but you know, his voice wasn't on there. So whatever songs he was on, you know, they would say, you know, they was, you know, Noble, you rap on this, E.D. rap on this, or whatever the case may be. You know, me personally, I never asked to be on no Pac song ever. When he was alive, he always pointed to me and say, on Machiavelli, I'm on 4 songs. I'm on the album more than anybody, you know. All the songs I did with him when he was alive, I never asked to be on anything. It was always, you'll know, right to this. Like, and after he passed away, it was the same thing. I would always get a call from somebody from Tupac Estate and, you know, saying, yo, we need you at the studio, rap on this song. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the fans don't be knowing how it should be going, but we actually like begged them to leave Fatal on and Still I Rise. We like, yo, we was just with Fatal. Like, that's our brother or whatever, you know, everybody was going through. That shit is in the past. But, you know, Fanny, she was upset about that death row chain and the bracelet, man.
Why wouldn't he give it to her?
I don't know. I don't even know if she asked for it. I don't, you know, to be honest with you, you know, like I just know Pac, you know, like he started that night. He actually gave me a chain. It was a long ass motherfucking chain, and he gave Yaki. He gave what did he give Yaki? I forgot, but he gave Napoleon the ring and the Rolex ring and the bracelet, and I gave my chain to Gaddafi that night. You know, it was too long for me. Once I put it on, it was like at my belly button and shit. Like you see videos of Yaki at the hospital. You know, when Pac died, he had this long ass chain on. Like, Pac actually gave me that chain. I gave it to Yaki. I was like, here, this shit too long. I'll buy me a chain later on when we get some motherfucking checks or something. You know what I mean? But he didn't give Fatal um, the Death Row chain and the Rolex. He was happy to see his brother. He said, because Fatal was older. Fatal and Pac was almost the same age. You know what I'm saying? Like I was 18 when Pac died. Pac was 25. Fatal was probably 24. Fatal was the oldest out of all the Outlaws. So Pac was happy to see him. You know what I mean? And he wanted him to shine at the motherfucking awards and shit. You know what I mean? So he was like rock the shit. And, Fatal, he wound up leaving. He for sure didn't leave like, oh, I'm leaving with the chain. You know what I mean? Like that's Fatal. He coming back. You know what I mean? But we just left. Cell phones. We didn't get to see him, and we left. Pac was pissed. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean? But I don't know if Fanny even sent the kite to tell Fatal that she want the shit back. To be honest with you, you know, I don't know. I never had a conversation with him that said, Fanny want the chain and the watch back. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Maybe nobody never even said nothing to him, and I don't know. Maybe she just assumed that he should have returned it. I don't know.
You was right there when Pac and Nas had that run in at Bryant Park, right?
Yep, I was right there, front and center.
From your point of view, can you give me the backstory?
My point of view. So the first thing that happened was at the awards. Me, Gaddafi, Fatal, Napoleon, and who else was with us? Our homie from Declare Bang was with us. We inside, right? It's probably about 30 of the homies outside. We inside the awards. We walking in the back. It's the stage, then it's all the seats, and then it's like a little area where everybody walk back. So we walking in the back, and Gaddafi walking in front of me, and I see him. He looking, and he stopped and kind of like turned and looked right there. And there's some guys they like right there, and it's Nas's boys, and they kind of like grilling us and shit. So we like looking you know, like we grilling them back. So it was almost like a little exchange, like what it is. Like, come on, man, let's. So that was the first thing that happened. So we go to our seats and Pac, he presented his award. Once he presented his award, we knew he was gonna be walking out soon. So we got up out our seats, we hanging over on the side waiting for him to come out. So we come out, we see him and one of the homies probably told him like, we just seen Nas boys and shit. We recognize him from the videos. We all was huge Nas fans and shit. Like, we all love Nas. So we recognized the niggas we saw, they was his boys. About 5 of them and shit. You know what I mean? And somebody told Tupac, like, yeah, we just seen Nas people and shit. They trying to grill us or whatever. You know what I mean? So we start walking back out and we see 2 or 3 of them again. And one of them niggas, I don't know, he says something. Pac kind of like they were standing by the exit way to go out the thing. And Pac kind of start barking on it. And I just remember security like, this ain't, you know what I mean? So we all go out. So we just know like, niggas see us. And they from Queens. I'm sure they was feeling the way about Pac coming at Mob Deep, as they should. They, that was their brothers, you know what I'm saying? So we leave out. We go to the park, the after party, right? It's like probably a 10-minute walk. You had about 30 Jersey guys outside. And we go outside and Pac like, yo, we're gonna go to the after party, right down the street. So, everybody couldn't fit no van, so we all walked to the park. Pac giving out $100 bills the whole way. He might have gave out about $5,000 or whatever it was. I just know he kept saying, "Yo, give me some more money." And the streets was like, they was happy to see him. He was out there showing love, just on our walk. So we walk into this park. It's about 30 of us, and you know what I mean. And we get there, and we there for a hot second, maybe like 10, 15 minutes, and drinking, just happy to be in this atmosphere and the Jersey homies is there. We introducing him to everybody and Pac was feeling real. He was feeling real good to be back home. You know what I mean? So I remember he did an interview and he was like, you probably see it on YouTube. You see all the niggas behind him holding up Death Row East signs and all that. Yeah, he like, I bring Pac was crazy. I bring a new government back, all these suckers, Nas, everybody, he naming everybody in this about after he did that interview, about 5 minutes later, we see Nas come around the corner. You know what I mean? Everybody look. It's about him and maybe about the same guys we got into it with it, and in the. So they walk up. The whole clan surround them. Mind you, I'm right there in the middle. I'm shoulder to shoulder with Pac right here. Pac standing right here. Nas standing right here. Nas walked around the corner. He wanted to see Pac. He wanted to talk to him. His body language was like, me and Pac need to chop it up. They met each other before. They had mutual respect for each other. So I know when Nas seen his boys at the awards, they probably told him what happened. We seen Pac, niggas, whatever. So he probably feel like, I need to see Tupac. He pull up. They start talking. You know what I mean? Mind you, they totally surrounded at this point. They was outnumbered. There's nothing tough about that. It was just Pac first time back in New York. We was deep. And that's just what it was. Now this is a corporate event. A lot of rich white people and actors, and it was no reason for Nas to be there deep at all. So he had his couple of guys, and as he should. Yeah, it's cool squad and shit. And, so they chopping it up. I'm right there. Mind you, Nas was one of my favorites. This shit was like a movie to me. I see he right in front of me. I knew Illmatic. I knew the words to a fucking song. You know what I mean? The nigga had on a red leather outfit. He had on some glasses, nigga, with some red lenses. He's right here in front of me. Me and Pac shoulder to shoulder. Nas right here in my face. My first time, in this environment. I wanted to tell a nigga how much, we all love him. But, this is wartime. Pac chopping it up with him. So, it was a little pushing going on. His boys, Pac, tell your boys to back up. Niggas ain't backing up nothing. Like this, it was a little tense exchange. But them niggas handle it like men, and they talk. And Pac told him what the fuck was going on. He told him he had him on. He dissed him on Against All Odds. He told him he was gonna take it off. He like, yo, nigga, we gotta work. Niggas should never be going at each other like that. You know what I'm saying? And it was a simple exchange, and Nas walked away. Right? It was a little hectic, for a minute, a little pushing. Suge right there. Snoop was way over there on the other side of the field. I saw him specifically. He was way over there. You know what I mean? I was right there, shoulder to shoulder with Pac, with one of my favorite rappers, Nas, right in front of my face, right? Then they left, right? We was all happy that this happened. You know what I mean? Pac loved Nas. I know they had nothing but respect for each other. I know all our Jersey niggas loved that nigga. How do I know? Because that's all we played when that nigga came out from, his first verse you ever heard. You know what I mean? Fucking live at the barbecue. We was all rocking with the nigga. What I don't like is over the years, man, how that exchange all these different stories. The truth is, you know, Nas walked up. It was about 7 of them. It was about 30, 40 of us. He didn't skip a beat, man. He didn't get, he didn't tuck his head. He walked up. He wanted to talk to Pac. The truth was, it was as gangster as it get. He walked up and they had a conversation. Pac all sweating, telling the nigga, yo, da 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 da. Nas was cool, like, yeah, yeah, da 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 da. And you know, the corny shit though is like afterwards, all the amazing wild stories.
Right, right.
20 fucking years later, everybody got a wild story what happened that night. His brother Jungle, I'm about to shoot Tupac. He wouldn't have made it out the fucking park. Our niggas had heat. It was surrounded. There was nothing they could do. Anybody could be outnumbered. It's nothing special about that. A couple of niggas, could go against a bunch of niggas for sure, right? But it was no win in this situation. It wasn't no, sort of amazing wild stories that I done heard over these years. I'm gonna start with Snoop Dogg. Nothing but love for Snoop Dogg. He told a wild version. I think like with Snoop, like when I Snoop, Kendrick, the joint he just dropped, he was saying to Snoop, I hope it was the edibles. I hope it was the edibles when he said this one. Because he had a wild version of the story, like Nas had Pac surrounded and all that. But to Snoop defense, right? Snoop didn't come with Pac to this park. Snoop got there in his vehicle, his security, however he did. So I think all the niggas that we had with us, they was outside the venue. All our Jersey niggas, the niggas ain't come inside the motherfucking awards. They was outside waiting for us to come out. So in my mind, I'm thinking maybe Snoop, he don't realize all these niggas is actually with Tupac. They're not with Nas. So to his defense, I'ma say that. You know what I mean? But he told a wild version of the story. It was a long time ago when I saw what he said, but it was something like, Nas, he had Pac surrounded and it was almost like Snoop version was like, Pac, Nas could have snapped his finger and it was over for Pac. And I'm like, I don't know, in his mind, he smoked a lot of weed. It was almost 30 fucking years ago. But Snoop's version for sure was by far the most off version. It was no truth at all to his version of the story. Mind you, I saw Snoop when all this was going on. He was way over there.
Yeah, you said he was from a distance, yeah.
I mean, fucking way over there. You know what I mean? So for him, his version was just, I don't know why
he couldn't even hear what they was talking about.
He was nowhere near it. Literally, I think he was doing an interview with the cameras in his face. This is Snoop Dogg. You can't miss Snoop Dogg in the crowd. He's tall as shit. You know what I mean? So I don't know what made Snoop come up with that version, man. But just over the years, it's fatal. He used to lash out about that. Like every time Nas or one of them would do an interview, he was like real disappointed because we all loved Nas and looked up to Nas and to see like over the years how this story done just spiraled out of control with all these wild stories. Nothing fucking happened. Nobody threw a punch. It wasn't nothing. Niggas had a fucking meeting. Them niggas was surrounded. It wasn't no winning for them niggas that day. It was 40 of us. It was 7 of them niggas. And he walked up like a fucking G. He didn't stutter. His step wasn't off. That's the realest version of the story. That's the most gangster version of the story. He was outnumbered. He ain't turn around or they go death row. Nigga, Suge right there. Nigga, there wasn't nobody else gonna walk up like that. Wasn't none of them other niggas out there gonna walk up like that. Trust me. That's the most gangster version of the story. The fucking truth. You know what I mean? Niggas walked up. It was outnumbered by 2, 3. It was about damn near 40 of us, man. And they surrounded them niggas for real. He didn't stutter. He didn't He didn't waver at all. He wanted to talk to Tupac. They had a mutual respect. So like, I just don't understand why it's all this crazy versions where the truth is the most gangster version, man. You know, his niggas telling stories, niggas had Pac yoked up and all this fucking silly shit, you know. But I think the most disappointing part for me, fucking nuts, right? The internet, right? Let me say something real quick. Okay, let me say something. I think the wildest part for me is because I got nothing but love and respect for Nasty Nas, man, and what he brought to the game and how he carried himself. And, um, you know, he's one of our legends and our icons. And after Tupac died, right, and all these different stories and shit, and telling their own versions, man, what the truth is the most gangster's version, right? But I think when he started doing these, what's the name of them albums he was doing? The King's Diseases, maybe?
Yeah.
King's Disease trilogy he was doing this. It was like, you know, I think when Snoop's interview set the platform for niggas to like try to run with it. So that was the most disappointing part for me. He started dropping these King's Disease albums, and it seemed like every album he was throwing little lines in there about Tupac because he knew for sure the internet will run wild with them, right? Like one line he was saying he ran into Pac somewhere, one of them colleges, and Pac asked him what he was drinking, and basically he gave Pac
He
the
took credit for
Hennessy.
Pac drinking Hennessy.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when all this shit pop up, we be ignoring it, but I be getting calls and from, you know, the family and everybody be like, Pac been fucking drinking Hennessy, you know, but it's like you dropping these albums, you know, they don't get played on the radio no more, things like that. He don't need none of that shit. He's rich, he's a fucking legend, but it's like the little internet buzz, right? Where I'm gonna throw a little Tupac line because he see this Death Row East story, you know, this not Death, you know, that whole MTV story, you know, with him running into Pac, how I just grew legs and all these different versions of the motherfucking story, you know. So, you know, like throwing out the Pac line, right? About teaching him how to, he gave him his first sip of Hennessy. He'll do that on one album. The next album, it'll be like, I'm gonna do the Death Row East song. You know, then the next album, it'll be like, what he say? Something about he stole Pac's Thug Life tat because he got the Godson tat, but then he's saying Pac stole the Machiavelli, the euthanasia chain from his QB chain. Now I'm a Nas fan, right? I remember in '97, you know, I think he did like a QB album, and I think that chain might have been on the cover if I'm not mistaken. I was a fan of all of them niggas. Mobb Deep, Capone and Noriega, all them niggas is dope artists. You know what I mean? Dope as shit, right? But that's one thing I remember that night, standing right next shoulder to shoulder with Pac. I remember Nas staring at this nigga's chain. I'm like right here. This is one of my favorite fucking rappers. He's right in my face, right here, with his glasses on, with the red lenses. I remember him staring at Pac chain the whole time. So I wonder if you could find. So if he say Pac stole that chain, I wonder if you could find a picture of him with that chain before Pac died. Probably not. Probably not. To be honest with you, because I was a fan. I used to pay attention to all that shit, all the videos, the magazines. I'm really hip hop in the flesh, you know. So everybody pay attention to what's going on, you know. So he threw that line out there. He Pac bit his chain. You probably can't find a fucking picture of Nas with that chain when Pac was alive. Do some research after this interview and see if you can find a picture of Nas with that chain on
Yeah,
when
I
Pac
can't
was
recall.
alive. You
I
probably
do know he took Pac idea when it came to the Thug Life tattoo. He got Godson.
Yeah, he said that. He said that in the song, and then he said, "Yeah, well, Pac bit my QB chain," and that's the thing. We was huge fans of yours, and I remember that night. Listen to me. I was right. Tupac's shoulder was right here, and that's the one thing that I remember from. I was 18 years old in 1996. I'm 46 years old, nigga. You know what I mean? I remember that night vividly. My favorite rapper, Nasty Nas and Tupac, right here in my face. Nas got on his dope ass red leather outfit, and he had on some shades, probably some expensive shit with red lenses. And I just remember, he was short, and he was staring at Tupac fancy ass Machiavelli euthanasia chain. So I'm like, you throwing these lines out is disappointing because you one of our legends and one of our heroes, and Tupac had nothing but love and respect for you. And that night he treated you as such. And besides all the little pushing niggas was doing, you know, we all loved you too, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So that's the most disappointing shit for me is after all these years, there's all these fucking wild stories. His brother, you know, talking all this, he was about to shoot Tupac. Man, it would have been a whole massacre in that park. Nobody would have made it out that motherfucker. On God himself. Niggas was surrounded. Nigga, it was 4, 5 of our niggas had guns, security, shook everybody there. Man, so I think that's the most disappointing part because it's like doing all this stuff on the internet. We're supposed to have more integrity than that, man. You know?
Nah, that's real talk. But do you remember how Pac felt when y'all was on that trip to New York? When Snoop got on the radio and said he was cool with Big and Puff? You remember how Pac felt about that?
Pac, he was upset. He was definitely upset because Snoop was he loved Snoop, man. He loved him. And let's be clear, you know, they would have got past that. Pac had nothing but love for Snoop and Dog Pound and all of them. So that issue, Pac was for sure super upset about that. But I think his love for Snoop would have outweighed that, and they would have got past it. And Pac was trying to get past all that beef shit too. But yeah, I remember we was sitting in front of the hotel, and we was sitting in a limo. Like we was just, I don't know, we was about to go somewhere or what, but we was sitting in front of the hotel in the limo we was in, and it was on the radio. We was in there smoking and shit, and he was listening. Oh, Snoop on the radio. I guess one of them said, "Yo, Snoop on the radio. Turn it on." And Snoop said that, and yeah, Pac was like, he was, he felt like I don't know if betrayed is the word because you know Snoop had a friendship with those guys, with Puffy and Biggie and all that as well, but I know Pop them conversations, and like Moose said, they might have did some songs or whatever. He just felt like maybe now's not the time for you to be on the radio saying that these guys is your best friends, or but it to each his own, man. Snoop went through a lot as well. He just beat a murder case. I know he was, you know, probably like this beef is for the birds. And to be truthful, it was, man. It was a not. I wouldn't say for the birds. Pac been through a lot. He got robbed, shot, set up, a lot of shit going on. He got put in jail for some bullshit, people taking shots at him. So, yeah, when motherfuckers kicking you while you down, he came out with fire in his heart. But Pac was he wanted to get past the beef, man. He wanted to get past the beef, man. I wish to God that he would have survived because he would have deaded all that shit. And he would have not saying he would have became best friends with Biggie and nothing like that, but he didn't want to keep going at Biggie. He expressed that to us. Like, I'm not about to keep going at this dude. Like, that's done. We're gonna move on, get to the fucking music. He Biggie was his friend. He had love for the brother, man. He had love for the nigga, man. So whatever transpired, it's like I don't know, man. He absolutely would have got past that shit, man. And the hip hop community and these fans, it's like that's what they want for us. They want to see blood. They want to see niggas crash out. They want to see the beef. It's always fun and games until somebody get shot. And then we need to stop the motherfucking violence. Meanwhile, they're gonna root you on every motherfucking time. You know what I mean? Like me and Lil C's, we got on the phone like total fucking accident. I'm standing next to somebody and he called the person's phone. and I'm listening. I'm like not even really listening, but I hear the name and knowing who I was standing next to. I'm like, is that Lil C's? Person like, yeah. Like, let me speak to him. I get on the phone with C's. Him and Fatal had just ran into each other in Jersey at a basketball game. And it was like, I guess when the game was over, they was about to leave, and it was kind of a little tension. And whatever it was, and it was like niggas drove the car by, and I guess somebody from Lil C's crew threw an ice cream cone at the car Fatal and them was that. Niggas, some little kid shit, whatever it was. But I guess niggas drove off. Niggas, niggas ain't no nothing real pop off. But me just being on the phone with him, it was fresh in my heart from Fatal telling me he ran into him and there was some friction. So I was just basically was like, I never met C's or, what I mean? Biggie and none of them. So, I'm sitting here like, you like what is we doing basically? Like when we see each other, you know, what I mean? Like I was being aggressive. Honestly, Fatal, that was my brother. I was just like, what is we doing, man? Because we ain't really tripping on y'all, man. You know what I mean? Y'all lost Big, we lost Pop, but I mean, is we keeping this going? Like, tell me out your mouth so I can know. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like at the end of the day, Pac had all these beef. Like I joined the group. I don't know none of these motherfuckers. I don't know. I don't hate Mobb Deep. I like their music. You know what I mean? He didn't hate them either. Pac didn't hate Mobb Deep. He didn't hate Nas. He didn't hate, Pac he was in I'm number one mode, going at a bunch of different motherfuckers, man. Like, I can't keep up with all the motherfuckers he was going against, but it's like I can't just wake up and just say, oh, I hate everybody. Like, I'm not no motherfucking follower. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get on the phone with C's and I'm like aggressive, and he took the more adult approach, man. And I'm glad he did, because we wound up talking, and it's like, this is a cool motherfucker right here I'm on the phone with, man. And we chopped it up. And we got past that initial shit and start talking like men, you know? And me and that nigga talk. We was communicating but probably for 6-7 years before anybody even fucking knew, you know? Mind you, after I talked to him, I called all the other outlaws. Everybody like, you know what? That's exactly what needed to happen. Everybody was behind that shit. That we talked, and it's like, what the niggas is gone. Pac and Biggie is fucking dead, man. We gonna keep it going. We gonna kill each other when we see each other. I don't even like, for what? You know? So the fucked up part is like, once it come out, K Slade want us to do a song with him. Fuck it, let's do a song. Everybody mad at us like we did something fucking wrong. Like we supposed to just keep this shit going just for you weirdos fucking entertainment, man. Want us to keep it going just for their entertainment, man. That's why I don't even do interviews no fucking more. You people, man. Trying to entertain you silly motherfuckers. All in the comments hating, clown ass silly motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Where they want to see us young kings die, nigga. They want to see us die. They want to see us crash out. It's silly, man. It's fucking silly. Pac and Biggie both should be here right now, man. Gaddafi should be here. But it's life, man. Shit happens. But yeah, they'll root you on. They'll root you on to go to war. And when somebody die, everybody want to post. We need to stop this shit. You know what I'm talking about?
You right. I agree. I mean, they want y'all to keep beefing and keep that same young mindset and keep the beef going. I mean, it's childish, man.
Word. Pac died when I was 18 years old, man. I'm 46. Where they're stuck in this time frame. Even like the podcast, and so many times where y'all do interviews, and where it's shit that we already survived. It's like we trying to, it's like rehashing old fucking wounds and old beef. It's like, you know how much shit we done dealt with the last goddamn 28 years with Tupac not here, man. Unbelievable shit. Like shit, I ain't had nothing to do with none of this shit, man. You know what I mean? Just want to live and be healthy and be happy and create. You know, they want us to be stuck in this Tupac, this hit 'em up era. Man, are y'all silly? They'll root you on, man, to death. You know, they'll root you on to
Yeah.
death if you allow that shit. Yo, why y'all? What the? I got on the phone with Lil C's. He saying, yo, he telling me all this shit. No, but ain't like that. He genuine on the phone. We don't want no beef with y'all, man. Let this shit need to be over, man. You right. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers mad at that.
They want y'all to crash out for their entertainment, man.
I swear to God, for the entertainment, man. Not me. You crazy? I done survived. I done survived too much, man. Way too much. And we ain't no little kids where they keep you there with Young Noble. Young Noble ain't young no more, motherfucker. I'm old Noble now. King Noble. Need to change my name. You know what I mean? Young at heart, young at spirit, but yeah, they be stuck. Well, they stuck at Tupac, shooting at cops and God damn it, he died at 25 years old. I got a 24-year-old son. My son is 24, man. You know, he didn't get to grow. He didn't get to get past he didn't get to enjoy the fruits of his labor and sit down and really like zone in on his brilliance. He has so much to accomplish in his world. It's a tragedy that he died at 25 years old, man. It's a tragedy when we all die young. Nobody, you don't know who such and such would have became if he died at 18. You know, at 45 he could have changed the fucking world. Silly motherfuckers. Yeah, man.
Well said, man. Real talk. But I gotta ask you, right? I did an interview with Napoleon. I think it's the first interview I ever did with him. But he told a story about how Jim Belushi he bit your burger. Like, what's the backstory behind that, man?
Well. My brother Napoleon, he actually told that story all wrong. I seen it. I ain't really paying no mind. I'm like, it's a story about a fucking hamburger. I don't even know why he even was on here talking about that goddamn story. Like, you talking about a story about a hamburger, but Mutai told the story like Jim Belushi walked in the trailer. We was on a set of gang related and shit. He told the story as if like Jim Belushi walked in the trailer and walked up and bit my burger, and I was just laughing. And Tupac got mad and said he'd do that again, punch him or something. Moose said, I don't remember. I seen the shit one time, but 100%, it ain't even happen like that. Like the Nick, the Nick, not the Nick, Jim Belushi. He comes on the trailer and he sees Pac. He says something real quick to Pac. He said peace to all the guys. Everybody sitting there, Gaddafi, move everybody and shit. And I'm sitting there. I just got me a burger and some fries. And this dude, he walks up to me. I ain't even bite my burger yet. I just sat down, right? Just got my burger and shit from the catering right here outside the motherfucking trailer, And he walks up and he bites my burger, man, with two hands and put it down. And he walks out the motherfucking trailer, right? And I'm sitting here like, I'm stuck. Because in real time, like, you don't know me, Jim Belushi. Why would you come and bite my fucking burger, man? You know what I mean? It's where I'm from, that's an instant uppercut. I'm taking your chin off. I'm going to punch you in your throat. You're not going to fucking be able to even chew the burger. Imagine me sitting at the Burger King late night with the homies and some white man walk up and grab my burger. What the fuck you think I'ma do? I'ma thrash this motherfucker. Are you retarded? And guess what? The police gonna come and they gonna look at the footage and they gonna say, oh, the black man was right. You don't walk up touching nobody's food. You know how many motherfuckers died in jail from over some goddamn food? You know what I mean? So I'm looking at Tupac. I'm like, I'm stuck. I'm like, did your co-worker really just, your co-star just really walk on his trailer and bite my burger? He did. And guess what? I'm look on my face. Next thing you know, the whole trailer just uproared in laughter. Everybody just, Tupac laughing. He damn near fucking crying and shit, man. I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm stuck. I'm like, he violated me, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's out of pocket.
Right, hold on, let me tell the story. I'm like, he violated me, man. But I'm like, they laughing so hard. Now I'm like laughing and shit. Like, all right, man, whatever. But after the laughter calmed down, Pac saw how I'm like looking at him like, dog, what's going? This some Hollywood. What kind of shit you guys around? This is Hollywood, man. Your co-star come on the thing and bite my burger and walk off, right? So I'm after the laughter calmed down. I'm still like I'm in almost in shock. Like, did he just really do this, man? And Pac, he saw how irritated I was behind this shit. And he was like, he stood up like, yo, man, he was talking to everybody. Like, he realized the moment, like, nope, just let this motherfucker slide, man. Imagine the headline. Tupac, Entourage, the Outlaws, Young Noble, assaults Jim Belushi on the set of gang-related movie over a fucking cheeseburger, man. Nah, we ain't doing all that, right? So, but Pac was basically like, he saw from my body language. That's what I remember. That's what I get from it. That like I was tight about this. I laughed for a minute, but I was fucking tight about this. And he spoke up and was like, "Yo, no, he tried some shit like that again, knock his ass the fuck out." And he spoke to everybody like, "Yo, I don't care where we at, what we doing. Don't let nobody violate y'all on the strength." He know what happened. No, I wasn't gonna react to Jim Belushi and just get up and just, we on a set of a movie, man. Tupac don't need no more fucking problems, I went back and got me another burger. It was free catering right there. And so when Pac used to go film scenes, I used to go with him all the time to watch. I told him I wanted to get into acting, and I used to just be watching, what he was doing. So right after that, I ate my burger. We went around and they had to film another scene. I seen Jim Belushi. He walked up to me. He apologized. He like, yo, I know that was a sick joke. I couldn't help it. We had a good little laugh about it. I'm like, yo, bro, you cannot touch nobody's food. Like, people die behind that. He knew, like, come on, man. I don't know this, man. But yeah, Moo, I don't know why he chose to tell that story like I took a short, or I don't even know why he even talked. Look at this. We sitting here talking about a fucking cheeseburger. Like, why would he even have a conversation like that? It's like, I don't know what Moo thought he was doing that day, even talking about that story, but he told it all wrong. He told it like Jim Belushi walked and bit my burger, and I started laughing, and Pac was, mind you, Moo and Castro was the lushes out the goddamn group. All they used to do was just drink liquor starting at 11 in the fucking morning. So, Moo don't be remembering half the shit from back then any goddamn way. You know what I mean? But yeah, my brother Moo, he told that story 100% wrong. Like, ain't no motherfucking way somebody gonna walk in and bite my burger and I just think it's funny. I eventually laughed because the whole trailer just uproared and laughed. And that's exactly what Jim Belushi wanted. He wanted a big laugh, He said that when I talked to him. He was like, I'm a comedian, man. I saw a moment and I took it. He apologized to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, we had a little laugh about it. I'm like, Jim, you don't play with people like that. Like, just imagine you doing that to me at the Burger King or something. Man, to wipe the floor with your motherfucking ass. You know what I mean? So yeah, shout out to Jim Belushi and Moo, but yeah, Moo told that story 100% wrong, man. 100%.
Y'all had a run in with Mobb Deep and Chino XL, right?
Mobb Deep and Chino XL. Well, I remember Mobb Deep. We ran into them in Arizona, I think. We had a concert in Arizona, and we was booked on the same show, and we pulled up to the concert, and we was back in the back of the venue, the back way entrance, and it's like we got out the cars at the same time, and we walked up to each other, and it was a mutual respect, man. You know, that's all I could say. It was. They looked at us, and we looked at them, and it was a mutual respect, and we start talking. It's on film. We had put it on our Outlaws Worldwide DVD that we had dropped, and I don't know. It was just a natural thing where it was just like enough's enough. Pac dead, Biggie dead. Like, what we about to do? So we saw Mobb Deep. It was a mutual respect, and that's what it was. We were staying in the same hotel and shit, and it was what it was. And then Chino XL, we ran into him at a club somewhere. I remember he just walked up to us, and he basically started apologizing for the line, whatever he said that um, got Pac on the other side of him. He apologized, and he was like, "Yo, it's nothing but love." You know what I mean? I remember chopping it up with him like, you from Jersey. You know what I mean? I'm from Jersey, whatever it was, and my first time ever meeting Chino. The crazy part is I'm talking about like immediately after that, maybe like 2 months after that, right? We staying at the Oakwood Apartments. We had a spot over there in Toluca Lake. This was like one of the first spots Pac had got us, but later on we wound up going back there too. We just liked it over there, just have a little spot over there. And we coming down the hallway one day and we see Chino walking with his girl. We're like, yo, what's up? My second time seeing him. He like, yo, I stay right down the hallway. It was Oak was like corporate apartments where you could just stay there for 1 month. It's already furnished, and a lot of actors and stayed there. It's like right in the area where I think like the Warner Brothers studio or something. So like all these models and actors and stayed up in the Oakwoods and But yeah, so Chino, he actually lived. He stayed down the hallway from us after we met him, man. You know what I mean? Yep. So we used to see him and him and his girl and his kid, and they stayed in the apartment like 3 doors down from us, man. This was like probably 2 months after we met him, so it was a good thing we met him that night, and he was a genuine dude, man. He was cool as shit. So that's what it be. It's like if it ain't no problem, it ain't no fucking problem. They just want you to have a problem, like man, that's silly, man.
I remember some years ago, what was the situation with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I heard they block y'all from performing. Like, what's the backstory behind that?
Um, it's things we've been experiencing our whole career, man. People trying to what's the word for it? I don't know. I know Tretch. So twice he reached out to us in a big moment. Over these years, man, I done seen so many big rappers perform Hail Mary. Like they added to their show. I'm talking about so many of them. And Tretch is the only one. None of them guys ever reached out and say, you know what, I'm gonna do a real tribute, man, and bring the Outlaws out. The song edit for Hail Mary it's 2 minutes. Pop first verse, the hook, Outlaw, boom, crazy, right? We've been performing this song all across the fucking world for the last 20, 30 goddamn years. How long we've been doing this, man? But Tretch is the only one who in a big moment reached out to us like that. So Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So when they do these award shows sometimes and do tributes, they just want to just get random people to do it, random other celebrities to perform for the tributes. And they called Tretch and said, we want you to do Hail Mary. And Tretch said, I'm not doing it without the Outlaws. I need the Outlaws there. And he reached out to us like the day before. I got on the flight and it was like snowing. It was real bad weather. And I had a wound up having to have a layover in Baltimore, and the connecting flight, it was pushed back. I had to stay the night. Called him, yo, I can't even make it to the E.D.I wound up making it. He went to the practice with Tretch, and he got a call later, and they told Tretch that if E.D.I goes on stage with him to perform Hail Mary, a Tupac and the Outlaw song, that they was gonna cut his performance. You know what I mean? Ain't that some shit? Yeah, inducting Tupac into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And E.D.I is the first outlaw that Tupac said, "Oh yeah, this is it." Edie before Castro and Gaddafi was, Pac was Pac was making sure Edie was getting ready because he was having him up next, man. Since they was little kids, man, you know, that was disgusting. That they told Edie he can't fucking go on stage to perform our own goddamn song, inducting him Pac into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's want a more popular face instead of, his real fucking brothers in real life who's legendary as shit, you know?
Very disgusting, man.
Super fucking disgusting, So that's what happened with that. And the other time Tretch reached out to us was the 20-year anniversary of the MTV Awards. And our manager at the time, Steve Lobel, called us and he was like, yo, Naughty wants y'all. They wanted to do a Pac tribute. And again, they wanted Naughty to do it. And again, Tretch and Naughty said, the Outlaws need to be there, man. What is this? He reached out, yo, they want to do Salt and Pepper on stage, Run DMC, Busta Rhymes, Salt and Pepper, Run DMC, Busta Rhymes, Naughty by Nature, and they said P. Diddy was gonna be on stage. Steve Lobel had a, big sit down with us. We had just released the album. Pac dead, Biggie dead, Gaddafi dead, all this shit. And he was like, he convinced us, like, I love y'all. Y'all good niggas, real niggas, humble niggas, family guys. Y'all deserve to be on big fucking platforms, man. Y'all the Outlaws. Like, he basically begged us, go participate in this shit. It's the MTV 20-year anniversary. All these legends on stage. Y'all gonna honor Pac. This ain't about P. Diddy being on the other side of the fucking stage. This is about y'all honoring y'all brother, man. And he was right, And we get there, and this is, like I said, it was Tretch who actually, reached out for us to do this. And we was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it, man. Like, fuck all that other shit. Like, we not savages. We not fucking animals. Like, yeah, we could, for if this could make a bunch of motherfuckers watching us save a few lives, or whatever, inspire some motherfuckers. Yes, let's do it. We all agreed we was gonna do it, and that was the only thing that was fucked up to me, because we promised Tretch and them that we was going to show up and do this and honor Pac, and it didn't happen. Moo was drinking, and we on stage. It was a practice early, mind you. Earlier, Puffy, he was walking around. He wanted to talk to us, but we didn't want to talk to him. He wound up talking to Big Syke though. So Big Syke from Thug Life was with us, and him and Puffy probably was around each other in the early days when Pac was around them dudes. You know what I'm saying? And so Puffy walked up to Big Syke and they stepped to the side and they had a conversation. But we ain't had nothing to say. We didn't want to talk to that nigga. You know what I'm saying? And so he was doing his part, And then Moo, Moo, Puffy was almost done with the song, and Moo walked up and kind of like grabbed the mic, like the song was over. It was our time to go. He ain't walk up like you give me the fucking mic, but he walked up like Puff kind of took offense to that, like hold on, Playboy. Next thing you know, all these fucking ninjas jumped on stage and shit, and security, all these motherfuckers and shit. We're like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? And yeah, so little, little melee. They wind up, we wind up getting escorted out, trying to see if we're gonna be able to come back later to perform, but we ended up not being able to perform that night.
Gotta ask you, right? The rumor about y'all smoking Tupac ashes. Is there any truth to that or no?
Yeah, yeah, it's real truth to that. Yeah, well, we talking truth, man. I'm gonna tell you what happened. It was the day of Pac's memorial in Malibu, California. Um, Private ceremony, close friends, family, his mom, everybody, and we we get back to the crib, to the mansion and shit. We in his room, he's gone. He just died. We're actually in his bedroom and shit. We're listening to we're smoking, we're drinking, and we're just trying to numb the pain. You know what I mean? He just had his memorial. And we're sitting there and we're listening to Black Jesus, the song. It's unreleased. Nobody heard none of these songs yet. And we listened to it. It's our brother that just passed away. And we hearing him different now. You know what I mean? We're hearing what he's saying real different now, right? So in the verse, he says, we die clutching glasses, filled with liquor and blasted, cremated last wishes, niggas smoke my ashes. So mind you, we in there just minding our business. We hear him say that. And everybody kind of like looked at each other. We hear him Pac saying, cremated last wishes, niggas smoke my ashes. Right? Niggas like, hold on, rewind that. Niggas rewinded the motherfucking song, man. He said it again. We die clutching glasses filled with liquor and blasted. Cremated last wishes, niggas smoke my ashes. His ashes was downstairs, Niggas is like, you know, what we gonna do? You know what I mean? Y'all heard what he said. Y'all heard what he said. You know what I mean? Mind you, I'm a kid, man. It's 18, like, we heard what he said, man. You know? And like, well, what we gonna do? You know? So Gaddafi, he winds up going downstairs, all Pac, his family, they all down there. Whatever he did, he sneaked some of the fucking ashes in a napkin, man, and he bring them upstairs. He comes upstairs with the fucking ashes in the napkin, man. It was in the urn thing. He had to sneak it. He stole the ashes, man. He had to sneak it, and however the fuck he did it. He the only one who left out the room to go downstairs. I wasn't damn sure about to go try to get no motherfucking ashes. Nobody else was. Gaddafi was the only, that was his bro, man. You know what I mean? He went and got the fucking ashes, man, and came back with a little sprinkle of the shit on a napkin, man. And I had the blunt already cracked and full of goddamn weed, and we sprinkled a little bit on there. I sprinkled a little bit on there, and I rolled it up. and we passed that motherfucker around. And for us, it was the highest honor we could give our brother in that moment. We heard what the fuck he said, you know. And later on, me and E.D. was talking, and he said Pac had a friend that was an Indian, and I guess the dude, you know, he was at the dude crib, and his family, I guess they was having a ritual this night where they was like celebrating one of their deceased loved ones, and I guess they whatever they had in the peace pipe, you know, if it was tobacco or whatever, they put some of the ashes of their deceased family member in the ashes, and they was passing it around. And Edie, you know, Edie told me the story later. Like Pac always thought like that was the coolest shit ever, that he saw a family like smoking, you know, hitting the ashes, where it's like it was an honor thing for them. It was like, you're gonna live on through us. We're gonna hit this, and you're gonna be in our motherfucking, you're gonna be in our system. You're gonna be in our heart. You're gonna be in our spirit. And I'll do it again. You hear me? I do it again. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, bro, it's like over the years, like, you know, like when it first came, the first time anybody even heard of this was in 1997 when I said it on the song "Mash for My Dreams" on the gang-related soundtrack. I had a song with Storm featuring me. Daz Dillinger did the beat. He on the hook. Mash for My Dreams, and I said it on the song. That was the first time anybody ever even, you know. I'm a kid. Like, you don't, you know, this ain't something that we just thought that we just want to do. Like, it was like, but we did it. We did it. And I wouldn't, well, you know, it ain't, yeah, ain't nothing to be ashamed about. For us, man, it was like the highest honor we could give him in that moment. We heard the nigga say his last fucking wishes. Yup. We heard him clear as fucking day. I mean, we was, young, crazy, traumatized, fucked up, heartbroken. You know what I mean? Absolutely, we did it. You know, over the years, like when it came out, we had did an interview for Vlad, and you know, he interviewed us at the studio, and you know, it was like the whole interview. Really, he just wanted that little part. Mind you, I was a little tight about it when it happened because you know the shit went viral. It was all on uh fucking TMZ. It was all over the place, right? You know, when we did this interview, we was talking about the music and all this shit, and they used this one little clip. You know, they didn't promote our album, none of that. It was this one little clip they wanted, right? And it, mind you, we was trying to leave. We was trying to hurry up, so Nick didn't even get to really explain it. But, you know, so over the years, it was like it's all over the place. Did this really happen? Did they really do it? Yeah, we fucking really did it. You know, we ain't smoke a whole blunt full of fucking ashes. That was a blunt full of weed. Let's sprinkle just a little bit, man. Yeah. Got Machiavelli all in our fucking spirit forever. You hear me? For us, it was like the highest honor we could give our brother. You know what I mean? We heard him. We heard him, bro. You know, over the years, it was like, I remember Fatal, he kind of like shied away from it. You know, it was, I think he might have been like a little, it's a different thing. It ain't something like we just woke up and said we wanted to fucking do that day. We sitting in there like we just was at his memorial, man. We was fucking devastated. We sitting in his room. He'll never be in this room again. You know what I mean? We'll never see this nigga again. We listened to music we did with him. That's all we got left. And we heard that. We heard that. We heard him say it on the song, Black Jesus, man. We heard him say it. And we was like, listen, we heard it like, yo, did he just say that? And you know, yeah, he in our spirit, man. He in our hearts forever. You know?
Real talk. R.I.P. to Pac, and shout out to y'all for doing that for Pac. But I want to ask you, when Big got killed, what was your reaction?
Oh, when Big got killed, man. I'm gonna have to give you a rundown of that day. That was a crazy day for us. So we had just signed to death row. Um, Shortly before that, um, we got kicked out of a hotel that morning. Uh, Mind you, this time we was just getting kicked out of hotels every fucking other day. This morning, I remember specifically, they kicked us out because they thought we was pimping. They said it was too much female activity. We got to go, right? I mean, we was, what are we doing wrong? Nothing. Too much female activity. They kicked us out the hotel. So, um, we let Death Row Records know that we got kicked out. Now they got to find us another hotel. So we go back to Death Row offices on Wilshire Boulevard, and I remember we was waiting for a check that day, and they was looking for us a hotel, and I think probably a lot of hotels was booked up that day, maybe because it was the awards that day. So we up at Death Row, I mean, in our fucking van, all of us, our luggage all in it. It was like, we hanging out there for hours, it seemed like, waiting for them to find us a hotel. It was I guess it was his book, right? Um, eventually they gave us our check and said, yo, the hotel, they found us a hotel up the street. Um, we on our way to the hotel. It's late on in the fucking day, whatever time it was. We in the van, turn the radio on. Biggie's on the radio, right? He's talking, and he starts rapping, and he's cooking. He talking that shit. He sound focused. He sounded hungry than a motherfucker. He sounded a little angry. It sounded like he had a little chip on his shoulder. He was throwing little shots, you know. We hearing it, we catching it, you know what I mean? Um, he was on the radio, we was talking this shit. We was listening like, oh, he ain't out here playing. He on this shit, you know what I mean? Um, I remember when he was done with his rap. I remember E.D. cut the radio off. E.D. sitting in the front seat and shit. Um, he turned around to us and shit, and was like, "Y'all heard that, right?" Like he gave us like a little pep talk, like we got to really go hard with this music and make Pac proud, man. Edie turned around like y'all, like we was quiet, just listening to Biggie. He was talking that shit. Hey, yo, turn that air down a little bit, up a little bit. It's a little chilly in this month, but he was talking that shit, bro, and throwing his shots of whatever it was, and Edie turned around and he was like, "Yeah, man, y'all hear that? Biggie ain't playing. We gotta, he gave us a nice little motivational speech, and we absolutely needed that shit because Biggie he wasn't playing. He sounded like he was ready to slaughter that shit, and he was. He was in his bag music wise at the Pac died. That new shit he was dropping. He had the single
Yeah,
out.
that life out the door.
Yeah, man. I think they was playing the song like it was like, God damn it, Pac going. This nigga Biggie is like he's about to go out of here, right? We make it up to the hotel. The hotel is on Santa Monica and La Brea. They found us some little ass hotel over there, and we check in the hotel. We chilling. Everybody freshen up, doing whatever they doing, and so it's late on now. Niggas is hungry. Me and one of the homies, we like, all right, we're gonna go to the IHOP. The IHOP, like right across the goddamn street, across Santa Monica, across I'm pretty sure that was La Cienega. It was the IHOP right there. And me and the homie go over there, right? We go to the IHOP. It's crazy, it's gonna bug you out. I'm in the IHOP. I forgot somebody's order, what they wanted. I called the hotel and I said, yo, what such and such, what was their order? I don't remember who the fuck it was, but um, like, no, where you at? I'm like, I'm at the IHOP. Nick said, we watching the news. Biggie just got shot. Get your ass back here. I'm like, what? He just got shot at some party. Get your ass back to the hotel. I'm like, all right, well, give me the order. In the same breath of me saying this, I'm inside the IHOP. It's packed in this month. You could see outside the windows. I see two black vans pull up kind of aggressive. I'm on the phone with whoever, one of the outlaws. I don't even remember who I was talking to. And in the same breath of them telling me they watching the news and Biggie got shot, um, I see two vans pull up. It might have been Suburbans or something, and a bunch of dudes with bad boy jackets hop out the van. And shit. I'm like, yo, some bad boy dudes just hop out the jacket. Whoever I was on the phone with, moved E.D.I, one of them. They was like, oh, we about to come up there. I'm like, nah, don't hold on. So the dudes, they was like, you could tell, they was it was something going on. Like the body language, it was confirming what Nick was just telling me on the phone. Biggie had just got shot. You know what I mean? This is my first time ever even talking about some shit like this. Um, so I'm on the phone like, yo, these niggas just pulled up. Like, yo, we about to come up there. I'm like, nah, chill. So they walked the dudes with all the bad boy jackets. A few of them stayed out in the front, and a few of them walked like right in the entrance of the IHOP. They didn't come in the restaurant. It was like right inside in the entrance, kind of like huddling up, figuring out what they about to do. You could just tell they was like f***ed up. They body language, like I know that look. I done lost a lot of niggas. They for sure something just happened, and I'm looking. I'm 99% sure I seen a young bald head Jadakiss in this entourage right here. That's inside the IHOP. I'm pretty sure I saw Jadakiss. Like they was like freshly just dropping music at that time. I think they might have had like one single or some shit like that. But I was paying attention to all the rappers and shit. I'm pretty sure I saw Jadakiss in this entourage right here. They huddled up for maybe like a minute or so. Then they all hopped back in the vans and took off. I went and ordered the food, got back to the hotel. I get back to the hotel and I walk into the room where all the guys is at. Um, and it was like silence, man. Everybody was watching the news and um Knicks. I don't know, it felt like hip hop was dying. Like this ain't how it's supposed to be. Like we didn't wish that on Biggie or nothing like that. It felt devastating. And mind you, like we're the Outlaws, so um, Hit 'Em Up was out, Pac died. It's like not involved, but it's just the whole fucking thing. You know what I mean? Well, Noble don't rap on Hit 'Em Up. He don't know Biggie. He don't know these motherfuckers. But I'm part of the group. I'm you in direct line of fire without even being in. You get what I'm trying to say. So it was like we felt their pain, man. We felt their pain, bro. Like it was you know, I just remember like everybody calling us, checking up on us, where y'all at, trying to make sure we safe and all that type of shit. Because it was just a crazy time. Wasn't no social media, nothing back then. Like, they got shot the same way. Pac and Biggie got, drive by, niggas shooting the doors. It's like, outlaws, y'all need to lay low. Like who's next? Somebody gonna roll up and you just never fucking know. It's a lot of money. Niggas got millions and shit on both, Um, Me as an 18-year-old kid, man, that shit was crazy. When I was 18, all that happened. Pac died, Gaddafi died, Fatal left the group, Machiavelli dropped, you know, Biggie died. All that shit happened when I was 18 years old, man. I got a 17-year-old daughter, man. Um, it was it was crazy. You know, that Biggie dying affected us too. Like it felt to me, I was almost like questioning, like, damn, man, maybe I should have stayed in school and figured something else out. Like I don't know if I made the right decision getting in the car with Fado and Yaki that day. This doesn't feel good. I left the hood to come to California. I was tired of death and all this bullshit. Two of my friends just died back to back, like the same way Pac and Yak died. A year before that, Al G and Storm
Yeah,
died.
year before.
Yeah, back to back. You know, so it's like I'm just that shit was just it was horrible, horrible for hip hop, just horrible. Period, man. So even like these days, I be like social media and go on YouTube, everybody going. It's all fun and games until it's almost like did niggas even any learn anything from Pac and Biggie? It's just like, did you niggas learn any fucking thing from that? You know, that's why I ain't did an interview in 7 fucking years, man. Like, why explain the game if niggas ain't fucking listening? You know, Pac said it best. You know, save my fucking breath, spend some time with my family, go on fucking vacation, trying to convince you niggas of nothing. You know what I'm saying? That shit was horrible when Biggie died, man. Just all around the board. You know, I was like, damn, this ain't the hip hop I grew up on. You know, Pac was like the first. Scott LaRock died before Pac, but Scott LaRock was a DJ. He wasn't. BDP was everything. I love those, but Pac was he was the first major rapper to die in that fashion like that. You know what I mean? And you know, I was right there front and center. You know what it was. You know, to this day they let them tell that he's still alive underground, like Bin Laden some fucking where hiding, or in Cuba or whatever the fuck they want to say every other goddamn day. But nah, he really died. I really was in the hospital. I really saw him with tubes in his body. I really saw his body full of fluid, real big. Like he wasn't skinny with the 6-pack. Body was full. He really fucking died on us. He probably could have lived. His mama said, nah, all that. I think he lost his finger, he was trying to do, I think he was gonna lose a lung. They was trying to do all these surgeries. You know how strong your mama gotta be to say, damn, he probably gonna make, he probably could make it. I don't want my son to endure no more pain in this world. Y'all tear him down, that shit is devastating. She let her son go. Pac ain't die. Fanny said, let my son fly. That's it. You know? Bruh, can you imagine that? I mean, a guy as amazing as him, the world in his fucking palms, his mama like, that. Let him go. Let him go. Let him fly. Y'all don't even fucking deserve him. He been gone since I was 18. I'm 46. So all motherfuckers want to do is get on camera and dissect his fucking life. It was amazing. It ain't that niggas can't take nothing from that nigga. You hear me? Niggas can't take nothing from no fucking Tupac. Crazy? Nigga was everything, man. Died at 25.
If you don't mind me asking, right? How did you find out that Fatal he died in a car crash?
Um, I woke up that morning, July 11th. It's my son's birthday that day, and I was getting him and my daughter. I got an autistic son. He's amazing. He's my pride and joy. I keep my life pretty private, man. Um, it's my son's birthday that day, and I was getting him ready to have a great day. And I got a call from this guy from New Jersey named Mike, and he was like, Fatal didn't make he didn't get on the flight. He was like Fatal was supposed to be in his movie. He was shooting an independent film. He licensed some songs from us for his movie, and he was like, I love Fatal. I want to put him in his movie. Like he knows some guys. He's an Italian guy, and he knows some guys from the streets, and they knew Fatal and shit. And he was like, yo, I heard amazing things about Fatal. I want to put him in a movie. And mind you, I had just dropped Fatal off at his crib a couple days before that. We had went to the studio and we recorded a record, and he was about to drive to New Jersey to go to his uncle's funeral. And so Mike called me that morning. I ain't talked to him Fatal since he left. When I dropped him off at his crib, and he said he was about to leave that night and go to Jersey to go to his uncle's funeral. So when Mike called me, I was like, he was just in Jersey. Like this was like 3 days before this. He just drove up there. So I'm wondering like, why? What do you mean like he didn't catch his flight? I'm thinking like Fatal would just stay up there, but he didn't. His daughter was in Atlanta, and he was trying to get back for his daughter, and he was going to catch the flight, whatever it was. And so I told Mike I would find Fatal, and I start calling Fatal, and I'm texting him like, "Where the fuck is you at?" Like, I connected you with the guy to be in this movie. I'm texting him, he ain't answering his phone. Like, yo, Mike saying you ain't get on the flight. I was mad at the nigga. I'm like, where the fuck is you at? You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, hit Mike, like, I don't know where this nigga at. But once I talk to him, I'm gonna cuss him the fuck out, Mike. And it was my son's birthday, man. And I was getting my son and my daughter. They was sitting at the table, and I was about to make them something to eat. And I got a phone call, and it was from Henry County coroner, and I was like, where is Henry County? It was like, it's in Georgia. And I'm like, it's the coroner calling me, man. His girl, she survived this horrific accident, and she remembered my number. I guess whenever something happened with Fatal, he would call my phone from her number, and she actually remembered my number and gave it to the coroner. Like and they called me, and they said, do you know a Bruce Washington? And I was like, yeah, of course. And they was like, well, we need to speak to his somebody from his immediate family. And I immediately started crying. I'm like, tell me what happened to him. They wouldn't tell me, but I knew, And I called his sister, and one of his sisters was actually in Atlanta just visiting. She lived in like VA. I forgot where Tammy lived, VA or somewhere, but she just so happened to be in Atlanta. I think like her son had a football game. I don't know what she was out there for, but it's like the coroner called me, man, and I was just fucking devastated. And went in my garage, and I called everybody, E.D.I and Fatal sisters, and like the coroner called me, and his sister had to go and identify the body. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in my garage for a few hours. A million people fucking calling me, man, and I forgot it was my son's fucking birthday. Um, yeah, that shit crushed me. Yeah, man. It happened on my son's birthday, and he actually passed away the day before, and on June 10th, and they called me on June 11th, and you know, trying to s- speak to somebody close, first to kin, and she went and then identified him, and yeah, it was up, you know.
Sorry to hear that, man. If I'm not mistaken, you had a heart attack some years ago, right? And E.D, he just had a heart attack, right?
Um, One day I started feeling like I couldn't breathe, you know. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And went to the doctor. So like a 3 month period, man, and just kept going back to the doctor, like, yo, I can't breathe, like it's what the fuck is going on? And they was like giving me like inhalers. The first time I went, they was like, take some aspirin, and it just seemed like they wasn't like trying to dig extensive to see what was going on. It was almost like, just deal with it, and yeah, one day I went to the park and with my daughter and my partner L and his daughter Ava, and I was like just playing ball and trying to just keep my health up, because that 3 months prior to that I was I knew something was going on with my body. And that next day, my daughter, she was actually supposed to go spend a night with Ava that night, my little niece Ava. And we got back from the park and she changed her mind. She was like, Dad, I just want to stay home tonight. I'm tired. I said, that's cool. You don't got to go nowhere. And the next morning I felt like weird. I don't know, just felt weird. And I made my morning tea, and I couldn't make my tea, something, body just felt weird. And I sat down by my kitchen, by the sink, and my phone was up on the counter. I couldn't reach up and get my phone, and I was like, I'm probably about to die, you know. Called my daughter. I said, call your mom, call 911. She came downstairs, and she called, and they started calling around, and she told them what was going on. And I just closed my eyes, man. I just closed my eyes. I was calm. Um, I felt I felt I felt numb. I couldn't move. I was like I just knew something really, really bad was happening, right? And my daughter saved my life, basically, She glad she was home, and I felt the ambulance people pick me up. And I'm closing my eyes. I'm like, whatever's gonna happen, I don't even want to see it. Now I'm just gonna close my eyes and just be calm. I really was calm, It's like, if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go calm and be grateful for the time I had. So I get to the hospital, and mind you, they ain't check me. I ain't feel them like touching on me or nothing. I'm in the ambulance, and I'm like leaning to the side, and they like kind of hold me up. And then I get to the hospital, and they it's like some fucked up shit, because they took me off the thing, and I got my eyes closed. I'm like, I don't want to see none of this shit, whatever they gonna do, right? And then I heard the lady say, we're gonna cut him open. I don't know I'm having a heart attack. I just know something's going on, and I can't even move. Lady said, we're gonna cut him open. I opened my eyes, and like, what do you mean cut me open? I was just making tea. Like, um, they ain't check my pulse, they ain't do shit. I'm like, I'm not knowing what the you mean cut me open. Like, you gonna cut my body open? And I start cussing everybody the out, you know? And they're like, sir, you just had a heart attack. You're gonna die. I'm like, well, I'm about to call an Uber and go home. The game coming on tonight. Let me die in my fucking bed, you know? I cussed the whole motherfucking staff out. It was all these nurses and all these, black doctors and shit. I'm like, I came in here, and the first thing the lady say, I guess I had my eyes closed. Maybe they just immediately said, "Oh, we got to cut them open." I mean, I cussed these people out for 20 minutes straight. I'm like, that's what the white man upstairs have y'all do. Just operate on somebody black when they walk through the fucking door. Y'all ain't even check my out. I'm not really computing what's going on, you know? And cussing these people out, man. So I knew I wasn't like afraid to die, man. I was like, let me just go home and watch the motherfucking Laker game tonight, and I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Let me die in my fucking bed, but you ain't about to cut my fucking body open. So I'm arguing, yelling at these people for about 20 minutes. She's like, sir, you gotta let us, you're gonna die. And I'm like, well, you better figure out a way to keep me alive without cutting my fucking body open. And they did, you know. They went in through my groin and however else they did and gave me 3 stents and shit. But yeah, it was fucked up. But then after I had my heart attack, they overdiagnosed me on the pills. Mind you, I cussed these people out so bad, man. I wound up sending them like $1,000 worth of flowers when I actually got home after they saved me and shit. I was like, yo, I talked to them people bad. Like, yo, y'all don't know who the fuck I am. Da, da, da. I was like just going nuts out of my mind. And after I had my heart attack, they overdiagnosed me on these pills, man. They had me taking 11 pills every day, 6 in the morning and 5 later. And they always high dosages, like 50 milligrams, 60 milligrams. And for about 2, 3 months, I literally almost lost my mind, yo. Like I was going crazy. I was like cursing everybody out. Me and E.D.I wasn't even a group for about a couple weeks, cussing him out. Like what the and I wound up leaving my house, you know, staying in hotels downtown Atlanta, Intercontinental, all this shit for, you know, spent about $30,000 on fucking hotels in 2 months. You know what I mean? Um, I I almost lost my mind, and then I was like, "Yo, it's these pills." I start thinking all my family and friends were trying to kill me because I'm telling them it's the pills that's making me act like this. I'm the most reliable motherfucker y'all know. Y'all all depend on me. Why, you know? And it was the pills, man. I lost my mind one day, jumped in the pool, with all my fucking clothes on. It was like, it was bad. Yeah, they banned me from the Intercontinental. I can't even book a hotel room there no more. It was like, this motherfucker crazy. It was the pills, man. And that day I said, you know what? I start feeling like my family was trying to kill me. Everybody calling me every day, say, yo, take your pills, take your pills. That's all I keep hearing. Everybody take your pills. I'm like, it's the fucking pills. Y'all know me. I'm the coolest, humblest, hardest working motherfucker around here. You know? Y'all know me. This ain't me. You know what I mean? And everybody was telling me to take the pills. And guess what? That day when I jumped in the pool, I said, guess what? I don't give a fuck if I die. I'm not taking these pills. I promise you, the next day I didn't take them pills. I started feeling a little normal again. And I was realized like in a couple of days, they could take a normal, good motherfucker like myself, smart mind, sharp, you know, damn near brilliant, you know what I mean? And turn me into a motherfucker who'd be in a crazy house. I'm telling you, if I'd have took the pills one more day, we would not be doing this interview right now. Y'all be reporting, yeah, young Noble died, or he's in jail, or he's in a crazy house, man. You know, all my fans on social media, they know it was a period after I had my heart attack where I was going crazy on every fucking body, yo. I mean, nuts. They had me on 3 different blood pressure medicines and some other shit. They was all high dosages. I'm going from no pills or nothing to taking 11 pills every day, you know? It was fucking horrible, but the good Lord is amazing. I made it past that. It was traumatizing but guess what? Guess what? It's all a part of the motherfucking journey, man. I made it through. And my brother E.D.I earlier this year, he had one as well. So I had mine. It was my blood pressure and my cholesterol. It was high, clogging my arteries. It's just years of um,
That bad
smoking
food, man.
and yeah, salt, food intake, and all the nightlife, the the lifestyle where we not even like we ain't even paying attention to our blood pressure. You don't know what's going on inside your body until your body start acting crazy. I'm thinking I'm healthy and cool, no, blood pressure out the roof. It's the pandemic. Couldn't get on a flight and go to a beach how I wanted to. It was, everybody calling, wanting something and shit. It was just like it was a, just caught up, the lifestyle, man. And, you know, so I've been doing great, taking care of myself, working out. So these days, my favorite thing to do is go to the park and shoot around and walk and breathe, all the extra shit, the club. I go to the park. If I ain't doing a concert or something, I'm loving nature, you know, trying to stay healthy, hitting that sauna, getting that workout in. It's important. That's the type of conversations I be having with niggas on the basketball court, like talking to the young niggas, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, people that you love, like motherfucker call you to go to the club, let's smoke some weed, let's drink some shit, let's go chase the bitches. It's the last time a nigga told you actually when you went to the fucking doctor to get a checkup, you know? When the last time you checked your motherfucking blood pressure, you know what I mean? Um, the type of conversations we need to be having at older adults, even as younger adults. You start early with healthy habits, man, so we can live longer. I had no clue my blood pressure and my cholesterol was out the goddamn roof until my body started acting crazy. And basically the same thing happened with E.D.I. E.D.I was been working out. That's what saved him because he been working out. He started his fitness journey and lost damn near 200 pounds. And that's what the doctor told E.D.I. If he wasn't working out like that, he wouldn't have made it. Let me tell you something about fucking E.D.I. This nigga was back in the fucking gym 6 days after his fucking heart attack. You know what I mean? Straight warrior, man. I was, I couldn't even walk for almost a month, bro. I was fucked up. This nigga was back in the gym. I'm talking about in less than a week, bro. You know what I mean? So we survivors, man, and God is good, and I have no complaints. I'm just blessed and grateful for life. I just want peace and love and happiness and, you know, stay the fuck out the way and just enjoy life. All this other shit, it don't mean a motherfucking thing, man. You can have all the money in the goddamn world. If you ain't healthy to be around here to enjoy it, then, yeah, it don't even fucking matter, man. They be dying, way before they should. Simply walking every other day is great for your health. So that's what type of time I'm on these days, man. Trying to stay healthy, you know. Yeah, Nick caught up with all the other shit.
Take 30 minutes off your day to, that's all it takes.
Yeah, man, just to walk 30 motherfucking minutes. So I mean, that's my favorite thing to do these days. Just go to the park, shoot around, do my push-ups. You know what I mean? Like, realizing like the moment is more important than anything. Like, yesterday was yesterday, tomorrow's not promised. So you better enjoy today, man. So it's so many amazing, great people that's gonna wake up today and not make it home to their families for whatever reason. So we gotta enjoy the moment, man, and worry about what matters, man. Other shit that, all this other silly shit, it don't matter, man. I done seen way too many fucking people die. Like, I rep Pac, Yak, and Fatal, but you know how many other fucking family members and friends I done lost from my childhood, man? Way too many to even name, man. Way too many. Pac and Yak and Fatal ain't the only niggas I know that died that I cared about. You know? You know what I'm saying? Everybody, all their lives is important. You know what I'm saying?
Do you deal with depression?
Um, I think we all go through a little depression sometimes. Um I know I got PTSD and Um, After my heart attack, I developed a little anxiety sometimes, but you know, I fight through it. I fight through it the best way I can. Music be helping me with that shit. I listen to that old school, that Stevie Wonder, that all that good stuff, man. It put me in a warrior spirit where I'm like, we gonna figure this shit out. You know what I mean? Like my mom just died July 1st, 3 months ago. Like, yeah, it's hard as hell getting through that. Every day it's a battle and a struggle. But we gotta let our loved ones. We can't let it destroy us. We gotta keep living for them. You know what I'm saying? Like Pac, my mom, when he was alive, and I got a call that my mom was in the hospital. She almost died. This is when Pac was alive. And um I was like fucked up. She was on drugs. And I think she overdosed, whatever it was. She was going through it. She almost died. And I called my mom, and Pac talked to my mom, and he told her, you know, how much he loved her. He can't wait to meet her. And he made her promise to get off drugs. He said, I'm gonna make your son rich, and he needs his mom to be healthy and focused and off drugs. And uh, I wanted to go back and see my mom. And he was like, nah, we got work to do. Like, what you gonna go do? Sit in the hospital with your mom and sit next to her and cry all day? Like, let your mom heal. She does survive. She gonna be okay. So he died. My mom was like, she never got to meet him. Um, she baby, like 2 years after he died, she was still on drugs, and she called me one day, and she was like, guess what? She said, I'm a week clean. This is probably like 98, something like that. She was like, I'm a week clean. I'm like, really? Like, you gotta understand, like my mom, you know, she was so beautiful and so loving and so amazing. And she had an addiction, and she she was 2 weeks clean, and it turned, she almost died in 1996. And she lived, she was clean since 98, and she was 1 month from making 79. Oh, I think she just turned 79. She was 1 month from turning 79 years old. And she stopped using cocaine. She said she wanted to keep her promise to Tupac, man. Ain't that some shit, you know? Yeah, man. She did it. She you know, and her quitting in 98 after almost dying, she survived to, almost be 1 month from 79 years old, man. But, she literally quit because she said, I promised Tupac I'ma quit and I'ma do it. So I could, all the begging I did, it didn't make her quit. Motherfucking Tupac got my mom to stop doing coke. And it was a beautiful thing, and she lived a long, blessed life. She almost died in 1996, so to make it to 2024 was a
She lived
blessing.
3 more decades, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She made it. She was amazing, man. And she I never got to thank her for that, but I try to thank him with my hard work and my dedication, and keeping this motherfucking shit going the best way I can. So my last mission as Young Noble, repping this outlaw shit, is to bring our story to life. Me and E.D. working on this docu-series, Outlawz docu-series. We're trying to do a 5-part series, and we want to do a scripted series. We got so many stories, and we gotta tell our story in a major, major fashion for Pac and Fatal and Gaddafi, and my group deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, you learning all this stuff about me from all these years, motherfuckers. never took the time to ask us. You know, they only worried about what the Tupac ate for breakfast or some silly shit for the headlines, you know. But we real human beings. Yeah, we real human beings that been through some real fucking shit. It ain't a group walking this earth, you know, that been through half what the we been through, you know. Yeah, man, and me and Edie, you know, that's my motherfucking brother from another mother, and we got a loyal fan base who've been supporting us all these years, um, and that's what it is, man. It's Outlaw for life. We're gonna keep this moving, you know.
Before we end this interview, I gotta ask you. I heard that before Tupac died, he wanted to sign you solo, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say maybe a month before he died. We was at his crib in Calabasas, and he called me over. He had a motherfucking envelope, and you know, he was like, check it out. He was like, it ain't ready yet, but you know, I looked at it and it said Quest Records at the top and Machiavelli Records, and you know, I had my name on there, and you know, I was gonna be the first solo artist out of the Outlaws. Like how when the Wu, when they decided Method Man was coming out first, they all voted and said Meth need to come out. You know, Pac ain't do no vote. He was like, my young nigga Nob he's coming out first from the Outlaws. This after the Outlaws album was gonna drop, he was gonna release my solo album first. You know, he really believed in me, man. And you know, Pac was me and the Outlaws #1 fan, man. How many people could say that? Pac was their #1 fan. You know, he was our biggest supporter and our #1 fan. And yeah, man, he was gonna do a venture with Quest for my solo album. I don't know, what else he would have did with them, but he was going he
Quincy Jones.
yeah, Quincy Jones, yeah. Kadada was his daughter. She's amazing. His son QD3, man. That's my bro as well. And yeah, man, he definitely was gonna right before he died, man. Probably 30 days before he died, he showed me this contract, and I was like, wow, like this nigga really like he really believing in it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what him dying early like that, and Gaddafi. I think that's the probably been my motivation all these years to keep it going. Like I'm not about to just let this shit die. Hell nah. You know. Yep. So that's our last mission as the Outlaws, me and Edie. Is to bring our stories to life. So I haven't did an interview in 7 years because there's so much content out there on us and lies and hate and silliness and you know we ain't got time for that. We done been through too fucking much. So all the dialogue ain't gonna be the only ones capitalizing on our story. We got to capitalize too. So but I appreciate you for keeping the content going. Always showing Pac love and support. Even all these artists who perform our song Hail Mary and never call us to be a part of their big concerts and shit. Even them, I appreciate all of them as well because it's all come from a place of love. I'm just saying, like, don't nobody owe us shit, you know what I'm saying? But, we've been performing across the world, man, for the last 26, 7 years, man. I'm on my fourth passport. So many stamps, you got to get a new one, man. So I couldn't complain if I wanted to, man. And yeah, man. So we gonna get this Outlaw scripted series and docu-series. We're gonna find the right company. Me and Edie we've been shopping this, having some great meetings. It's like we've been close to securing maybe 2 deals since in the last couple of years, but we gonna figure it out. Our story deserves to be told on a really really major um scale, and we're gonna keep going until we figure out the right partners to help us bring this to life. So that's what I've been doing, just working, grinding, staying out the way, and that's why I ain't been doing a lot of talking, man. Saving our real content for our own story. Like this interview, you got a lot of great stuff that I never talked about. But I mean, it's just like so much stuff that y'all have no clue about because we never been asked this stuff. They always want to focus on the East Coast, West Coast beef. Some silly shit, you know? And let me say something to you too, man. It'd be a lot of different guests. Like it's over these years. I don't really watch nobody's interviews. I don't be on YouTube paying attention, none of that
Right.
bullshit. But certain things cross my desk. People send it to me and shit. I mean, it'd be a lot of guys coming on your shows, man, and they be seeing a lot of lies and shit sometimes. A lot
Yeah.
of different things. I'd be like, one of these days, you're gonna have a guest on and you're not gonna interview him. I'm gonna interview him. You hear me? Yeah. We're gonna pop out. Yeah, if I'm like, we're gonna, I'll be like, yeah, let's let young Nob ask you some motherfucking questions, man. See how this interview turned out. You know what I mean? Yeah, everybody got a Pac story, man. They done, be we laugh at a bunch of shit. We ignore all of the fucking bullshit. And we walking with God and we walking with love. And appreciate you again, King.